p.m. It is Sunday. It is time for the Sunday service. Hello everybody, welcome to the Sunday service. It is of course 2 p.m. on a Sunday, just coming up to it, about 2 minutes to 2 on a Sunday, and we're going to have a bit of Sunday service for the day, so hopefully you're able to hear me okay. It is a boiling hot day again. Thank you, weather. I know everyone says it's climate change, but geez, I can move with this kind of climate change for a while. But if it gets too loud in the background, let me know, because I have the window open, I can get loud outside, and I have a fan over there which is blowing, currently turbocharging the warm air into my face. And so that's pretty good. Don't have some lights in the background as well. I have to make a small adjustment to the camera, because we started off with the camera already deciding it's going to focus on something else, not me. And this is all about me. Anyway, thank you for dropping into the Sunday service. Very kind of you to be here. There are questions already after coming in this morning, because I reckon this is going to be a busy one. Simply because of the Japanese imports, and of course I mentioned Tesla, which is a big thing at the moment, is Tesla. We'll come to that stuff as we go along. It's been a busy couple of weeks. If you don't know about it already, this Saturday night in Junction 14, Mayfield, myself and Jason McConnell are hosting a meet along with Kildare Car Scene, who will all be there as well. There are hundreds of cars turning up, possibly thousands of cars, but we don't know that for sure. But there's lots of people coming to a car park. They're going to be bringing all kinds of metal. I myself will be bringing a Toyota Supra. Jason's going to bring a Nissan GTR, and there is a BMW i8 on the way. There's just, the cars that are coming will be absolutely outstanding. There's no need for tickets. If you haven't bought a ticket, you can still come along. The ticket was for a particular car park space over to one side. That will allow people who are coming for a long way to come to that car park and spend some time there. So they can just be guaranteed a car park space. That's really the only reason we put up. People are focused on the fact that there's no tickets left. There's no tickets left because the car park is full for the moment. But if you want to get on at some point on Saturday night at 7 p.m, if you find yourself at a loose end, nothing better to do, come on down, because the price is right. Everybody will want to get in there right now. Just send out a little tweet here while I'm talking. Beautiful day, hasn't it been? Absolutely super day. Live now. Super day. We were down the beach the other day. I actually went down to Loch Derg. When I say beach, it's a lake, but we went down to a lake called Loch Derg, and we hung out there on the beach with loads of lovely people who were turning up to say hello to me and getting pictures with me and stuff, and that was brilliant. It's such a good time. Lauren and the lovely team down there who do the little surfboards and things said that I should come back down and do a kayak course, so I'm going to do that. Andy FX7's here to chat. Hi Bob and gang. Average used BMW imported from Japan, $2,000 more expensive than pre-Brexit. Main importer talk about it, all mainstream media, all Brexit's fault. Should have did his research on his pals at the government, and a criminal anti-car ownership tax charges on your average hard-working punter. Where is the journalistic balance gone? There's no journalistic balance anymore. I'll be honest with you. Generally speaking, when it comes to what journalism has become, not just in this country, pretty much everywhere, journalists do two kinds. So you've got reactionary journalists who used to be reporters, right? So they used to report on something. Now they react to something, which is kind of weird. And then you have the other ones that what they do is they get, you're interested in walls. So we find it 3 people who are for walls and 3 people who are against walls, and we start them in a room and we question them. That's not really journalism either. A good journalist would assemble all of the information and try and make a judgment call on. That's kind of where we were a few years back, where we get a journalist to disseminate information and then tell a story and hope we're going to get the back end of it. Realistically, what RTE did, and what RTE does every time, I have to say RTE, the balance is really poor. Every time there's a car story, they go to a big main dealer who has a vested interest in the car industry. Then they go to the SIMI, who have a vested interest in the car industry because they're a lobbyist group for the car industry. And then they go to the AA, who have a vested interest in the insurance industry because they're an insurance broker. And make no mistake, the AA are going to be sponsoring this channel as well. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be influenced at all by the AA's insurance abilities, right? So there's... The problem is money. The problem is everybody has to make money. It's impossible for me to make money from YouTube, just sheer views. So you have to find sponsorship. Who wants to sponsor a car show? It's car companies, right? Car companies and associated things that are around the car industry. So if that's what I'm getting, you can imagine what RTE is at. You can imagine what Irish Times, The Independent, the Irish Examiner, any of those kind of places are getting. So the balance is balanced on money. It's how much money can be made. And advertisers are kings at the moment. So that's the way it's all kind of going at the moment. But right now, it seems to be Japanese imports are coming in, saving maybe $2,000 in a transaction if you were to buy yourself a Japanese import direct from Japan, from an auction site, getting inspected over there, loading it up in a boat, sailing it to Ireland, bringing it off in a dock, having it inspected here, pay the VRT, put it on the road, $2,000 cheaper than buying it in England. Just think about that. Consider that moment in your head, how much cheaper that really is, and how scary that's going to get for the rest of the car industry. Because what's going to happen with the dealerships? What the dealerships going to do? They're going to immediately look at Japan and start bringing in all the cars from Japan over there as well. Because Brexit is a pain. It's not just Brexit's fault, but it is certainly adding to. Even I know myself, we have our own shop, bobflavin.com. We get orders from England for hoodies, for big things, and we have to jump through hoops to try and get that out of the country into their country so it doesn't get turned back, the right documentation, all that sort of stuff. There's so much going on right now with that Brexit thing. It really is killing it. For cars, it's just as bad, and there's such a disparity, a huge difference between getting a car on the road in Northern Ireland and getting a car on the road in Ireland. I spoke to a man this morning at Junction 17, Portage Plaza. There was an Audi meet there today, Audi only, just a good few lads turned up, but it was only a handful of people compared to bigger meets. It was a lovely day out, all kinds of cars there, RS7s, there was S4s, there was S7s, standard kind of A6s and all, just lovely cars. But one guy was telling me that an Audi S4 Avant in the UK, that's Northern Ireland, per year insurance cost him €500. His tax, or it cost him £500. His tax is £550 or something. So all told, that year, that's all he pays for. That's it. That's it. We pay punitive taxes here to own a car. It's insane. Just crazy. Really irritates me to see the difference on the same island, how big a difference we have in taxes. Kieran McLaughlin, hi Bob, just bought a Mark 8 GTI Club Sport, good car, yeah, loved it. The only thing the red stripe in the car, asked for dealer, is this Irish spec. The only thing, no red stripe on the car, asked dealer, is this Irish spec? I thought the red stripe was standard on the Club Sport. I could be wrong though, I didn't really look. But I'm assured that the car I had was a standard GTI Club Sport standard, was that with the light bar on the front as well as also standard. The red bar across the front, that is the light bar, it lights up as an LED. I was sure that was standard. Johnny Dub, hope everyone's enjoying the weather, having wheels off the wash today, therapeutic. It is lovely, it's lovely. The therapy of this show brings to people's minds the ability to be able to sit back and relax and watch what's going on. Don't forget to hit the like button and the share button while you're in here if you can. If you want to support the channel, there's loads of links down below. You can even buy something on bobflavin.com if you want. That also supports the channel. But obviously, direct payment into PayPal account is much nicer way to do it. Anything, it doesn't really matter what it is. This time of year, YouTube tends to flatten out as people go outside, less people watching. More kid-friendly content comes through, and kids will watch hours and hours and hours of YouTube. Adults don't watch hours and hours. They'll watch a little bit and then they disappear. So take-ins are always down on YouTube over the last couple of months during the summer. Then they come back again in winter time. But right now it's struggling all right, that's for sure. Eric Watchers here as well. Afternoon, everyone. What a day, what a week. What a week it's been. Beautiful week. Absolutely beautiful week. I mean, I know they're calling it extremes and they're calling it climate change and this, that and the other, but realistically it's just been lovely. Like, it's been so nice to have a bit of sun in Ireland that we'd never normally have. I know it's really hot. My Mercedes showed me 51 degrees. I put it on my Instagram, 51 degrees on the dashboard. I just thought, hang on a second, it's definitely not that hot outside. It's weird. Where were we there? Owen Anglem says, afternoon Bob, what an absolute scorcher of a week. It's been beautiful. I don't know if the weather's going to break today. According to the weather app, which I do look at, there's a great weather app that I use all the time, especially for filming. It's just the Weather Channel. It's free, doesn't cost anything. But I find it very, very good when my Wi-Fi connection is working properly. Don't tell me, Vodafone. I've had heartbreak with Vodafone for so long. Please don't tell me it's broken again or I'm going to cry. I had to fix it myself, lads. You've never seen such a ball ache of 3 days that I've had in my entire life. The Wi-Fi went down here, I think it was Saturday of last week or Friday night of last week, one or the other. And it does this. Every once in a while it goes down, but then it didn't come back up. And I kept looking at it, unplugged things, plugged it back in, called people. tweeted, did everything I could possibly do. They were all fierce nice and all on Twitter, but did nothing until Monday. Nothing. So the whole weekend we were without any Wi-Fi or any phone, any television. So television and Wi-Fi disappear as well. That's what happens. It's all gone. So we end up watching things on my laptop, trying to stream it through phones. And anyway, it comes Monday, Tuesday, still no resolution. I pulled out the power cable that connects the Zero box to the power unit, put in a random one I found around here, and lo and behold, it worked. Fixed. But we still didn't have any television because I unplugged the TV, wanted to plug it into another. Oh, it's just complicated. So I'm still broke. According to Vodafone system, I don't have any television still, and it's over a week now. Well over a week, and they've done nothing. I've had no engineers out, nothing. So Vodafone are going to be thrown in skip. We're going to get someone else instead. Happy Sunday, Bob. Hope all is enjoying the weather. Thanks, GC. Kula Bula Lula, yeah. Hello, Aidan, Mem Master, and I can't pronounce that name. Kevon Doherty. Hello. JP Delvin. Might take my 272,000 miles superb for one of your meets. You can if you want to. Everyone's welcome down to the meets, lads. You don't need to book a space and just turn up. That's what meets are for. I was watching one man this morning who turned up to the meet. I won't say who he is, but he turned up to the meet. And he just stayed in his car. He just kept the door closed. And then he opened the door and he went to the back seat. And then he went to the booth bit. And then he got back into the back seat. And he sat there like, you know, just get out and talk to people. Honestly. Most lads are more than happy to talk about their cars. 272,000 miles is a fair whack of miles as far as. Hi, Bob and Kang. Hope all is well. Listening from work. Man, Brian McDonald's in work. Meme Master. It's been too warm. No, it hasn't. That is sacrilege to be talking about. You know what? You miss it when it's gone. That's what happens. Same as lockdowns. You miss them when they're gone. We're all conditioned now to like lockdowns. So, so we'll have to get unconditioned from lockdowns. But it's been very warm. It's not too warm. It's been very warm. Fairness, it was 30 something the other day in my backyard, which gets very little wind but a lot of sun. It was 40 something degrees in direct sunlight. It was really hot. But we put up a little canopy and all. Was it you on a walk us on a Friday in a black BMW? No. Last Friday? No, I don't think it was around last Friday. Walk us on. It wasn't a Beamer anyway. Derek Skinner, do you think the ESB want people to own EV cars? I don't think they have the capacity. Well, they don't currently, right? So if you were to look at the last week, like we have wind farm here not far away from where I am. And going on the motorway, you can actually see all the propeller things. All of them are stopped. There's been no wind in Ireland for over a week now, right? So all the wind powered yokes are entirely useless when there's no wind. So there's a problem straight away. Now that means that to bring the coal fired stuff or the turf fired stuff or the hydroponic stations or whatever other stations they've got, they all have to come back online. And that's a real issue. I think that's the biggest issue for us right now is we're putting a lot of emphasis on wind, and I love it. It's great. It's totally renewable. I get it. I have all that in the bank up here. No problem with all of that. But the problem is when there's no wind, which can happen in Ireland, and it's happened for the last week, then there's your issue straight away. So if I have to figure out how to do this again. If I flick over to a picture. That it? No. Hold on a second. Working on something here. Yeah, that's it, I think. That has mic. Is it? No, I know. It doesn't. Now it does. I think it has. Didn't work. Go back where it was. That is a pain now. I'm looking at a screen that's not working. No, that's not it. No, Skype call screen record. That's the one. I'm sure that's the one. Hold on. Stupid. Sorry, I can't show it. I don't know why that's not picking up the mic anymore. It used to pick up the mic all the time. Sorry now. I'm just talking about yourselves for a second. I'm just working on something here. 2, 3, 1, 2. There it is. That's working. Haha, gotcha. Right. Average fuel mix. So this is coming from Air Grid Group right here. You can actually see the system generation at the moment. You can see where it is, what's happening on the dash. But right here, if you look at gas, which is this one, 55.99% of average fuel risk in Ireland is gas. And then you have a net import of 26%. But renewables is down to 4.84%. That's today. Simply because we're absolutely screwing ourselves. So wind generation, there it is there. Actual wind generation is here. So you can see at the bottom there, very low because we just don't have wind at the moment. Nothing much is happening, the wind farm stuff. It's kind of crazy to see, but that's essentially what's going on online. And you can't really see that screen very well, but we'll do our best. Cut back to that. There we are. Woohoo! We're back and it all worked properly, I think. It's kind of weird. But you can see then from those grids that there really isn't a whole lot of wind generation going on. So we have a problem with electricity. It's not to say the ESB would go out of business. If every one of our 2 million cars was to suddenly go bang to electric, then we might have a problem. I think that's what would probably happen. But we're not going to do that. It's very slow. And I was talking to a man the other day. I'll leave his name off the moment, but he's a senior person within the car industry. And he said he reckons it's going to peter out. So we'll get to a point where we'll get to like 15 or 20%, 25% of the mix, and then it will start to slow down a lot as less and less people buy electric cars. And that's just a sort of prediction he's trying to do. Where was I? Walkers out Black BMW. No. Good afternoon, all. Mark Turner Smith's here. Good afternoon, all. Hope all's well. Just driving home after racing the UK National Mountain Bike Championships. No medal, but did okay. So don't normally race national level. Nice. He's taking a Super, Hugh. Yeah, a Super, a brand new one. Well, a 191, but it's a Super. Yeah. So I put a picture on my Instagram the other day of it. Yesterday of it, I think. Hi, Mick Mulcahy. Hi, Hugh005. Hobbs Dorothy, afternoon Bob, what do you think of the Ioniq 5? Looks nice, doesn't it? Looks nice. I don't know if it's any of it's really revolutionary, other than the two-way electricity, which is kind of cool. I like the idea that you can use it to power a campsite or something, or, you know, you can do stuff to it. Kia is going to do the same thing, obviously. I like the look of it. It looks okay, but I still would hesitate. I'd still wait until the market is a little bit bigger. There's a good few cars to choose from right now, but I think by the middle of next year we'll have twice as many cars to choose from as to what I want to have as an electric car on the road. And I'm still not quite sure of this green push, constant push for new, get new all the time. The more I see the older stuff, it's like there's older stuff out there that's keeping it perfect, like it's just in perfect condition, nothing wrong with it. My own Seat Leon now is getting a new front bumper, grille and headlight put into as well, and we're just about past the NCT then. We did the NCT the other day and it failed on a little tiny bracket. Stupid little tiny bracket has been missing for years, and suddenly I decided to fail it on it. But anyway, we're changing it over, it's fine. Kieran McLaughlin, just to clarify, we GTI Plus Sport bought. This was ordered by car dealer in November 2020. Got it in showroom 3 days before I bought it. Alright, okay. I don't know, I thought the red line in the front was normal. 2 grand is frightening. It is frightening. Kia EV6 looked great out here in October. That's the one I like to look of more than like the Ioniq 5. I think the EV6 just looks nicer. Now I have to see both of them in the metal, obviously, see which one I like more of. Aidan Monelli, hi Bob, will import commercial vehicles in Japan, and if so, what difference will it have? The only thing that happened here in the 80s with importing from Japan was we got better spec. So if you looked at a Toyota Corolla from Ireland, a DX or whatever Corolla you want from Ireland, and compared it to a Jap import the same year, you often got air conditioning, electric windows, heated seats, all kinds of stuff. They used to put all kinds of stuff. They used to put electric seats in the back of the Japanese imported cars, and you can get them here for the same price as your normal Irish version of the car. So there's the difference. That's also happening right now. Now there's stuff you can buy right now that's going to be different again. They drive the same size of road as us. They've actually got around the same CO2 emission stuff going on as we do with our NCT. So the car should essentially be exactly the same, apart from higher spec and slightly cheaper. Now I know a couple of friends of mine who've bought Prius. One had bought a Prius Plus, one had bought a standard Prius from Japan independently, all on their own, dealt with the whole thing over an auction site. Bought it there, paid for inspection on that end. It gets put on a boat here, comes up to the docks here. You drive it from the docks to the VRT centre, you VRT it, and away you go. Done. He reckoned he saved about €3,000 on buying the equivalent car here in Ireland, and he got a better spec. He got a better interior. The only big problem that I foresee is the amount of electronic stuff that's on the cars, because a lot of the dashboard stuff, infotainment system, is in Japanese, and there's no way of getting it out of Japanese. That could be a problem, so that'd be something to look out for, because often they don't install, in the Asian cars, they don't install the English translation of the same thing, because it is not even remotely the same language. Where was I? But yes, you could import any vehicle from any country to here. You just pay the import duty. That's all it is. TV, yeah, I remember that. I remember TV as well. Do you know what? I can't remember the last night. The only thing we've watched on television in the last while has been Gardener's World. My wife is fascinated by Gardener's World. Monty is like sexual god, Monty. But Gardener's World is the only thing we've actually played on television here to watch a TV show. The odd game show, like The Chase or something, might be on in the afternoon. You might watch something like that. That's it. Everything else, all of our content now is a movie, is Amazon Prime, Apple TV. I got Apple TV for a year because I bought a new device. You get Apple TV for free. There's not much on it, if I'm honest, but some of the stuff that's on is really good. It's very handy to rent a movie here and there. And then streaming. Everything else, just YouTubes and all sorts of other stuff. We just stream around the house, and everybody watches their own device. So I don't know, like the future of television, it seems a little bit odd, doesn't it? The Awakening. Hi Bob, love your reviews, thank you. Bought my last few cars from your reviews, thinking of buying a BMW 5 Series 2013. Worried about the N47. I'd be worried about that engine too, if I'm honest with you. They do throw, the timing chain goes on those engines, and when it goes, it shatters inside the engine, so you'll never get it all out. So once a chains very, very rarely go, but when they do go, it's catastrophic. Not like a belt. You could actually save a car from an engine from a belt. Plus, the N47 engine is a interference engine, which means that the pistons can come up and hit the cylinder head, which is the destruction of the car. Like old Toyota engines and things, they're non-interference engines, so the piston never gets, even if the belt broke, the piston would never get high enough to do any harm. Be really careful. Make sure all its recalls are done. They're a great car, but just make sure every single recall is done on them, and there's nothing left outstanding, because if it goes, it's going to be all of your money going into the engine itself. Funny, I was talking to a man this morning who bought an Audi RS7 because he watched my review of it as well. It's scary when someone drops that kind of money on a car and you're going, this is brilliant, for a review you've had a few days with a car, you know. Kevin N says, I'm multitasking, Bob, watching you and watching women's beach volleyball in Tokyo. I saw a thing about women covering up in the volleyball. Did you see that? There was some, was it Norwegian team or something, wanted to wear kind of, I'd like boxer shorts, I'd say you'd probably call them, a little bit longer, down the thigh leg ones. And they got a warning from the Olympic Council that it wasn't proper uniform, they had to go back to their bikini bottom. Just saying, women's beach, I know it's we admire these things, but these are professional athletes as well that we're sending over to the Olympics, and they're jumping around there half naked, and that's okay by the lads, but I suppose it's such a big sport though. This chat has turned into something totally different. Peter Euchart, hi Bob, wondering if you can get a car from Cyprus. Might be cheaper to get a car from, you can import a car from anywhere. Whether you can actually import it that handily from Cyprus would be a whole different ballgame, but it would be dirt cheap, yeah, for sure. Cars aren't very expensive down in Cyprus. The condition of it might be different. At least it wouldn't be rusty. That's for one thing. They don't get much rain down in Cyprus. But Japanese cars, we've already got a direct line to them. And there is already a couple of Japanese importers in Ireland who are specialised in getting particular cars like Chasers, Levins, and those kind of JDM cars, I'd say you'd call them. But of course you can have like any car that's manufactured in Japan and brought to Ireland as a JDM car. So you can actually have JDM BMWs and Volkswagens and things. They're manufactured there. But yeah, you can import from anywhere. I know if you want to import from America, I know a lot of guys who do that as well. They get their dream car from America, imported here. The last Junction 14 meet we were at, we had a Corvette Stingray out. Brand new one, 211. Coming down. It was brilliant. Brilliant to see. He got it from America, imported into, he took my advice, he imported into Holland, paid 10% import duty into Europe, then brought it to Ireland, paid the VRT. Now it's an Irish car. Amazing. Mark Pales, bring on the rain. Shh, don't be jinxing it. Shush. It won't rain today though. My weather app currently for Ireland Day says no rain today. So this will not be the last day of good weather. According to the radar forecast, there's nothing going to happen over Portlaoise or over Ireland. We've no rain actually anywhere, forecast anywhere for the whole country. See? Don't mind the Met Éireann and all that stuff. Just look at your weather app. They're brilliant. Dilbert says, well, Bob, putting the finished touches on the Corvette Project 80 Series Toyota Amazon. Bloody hell. Glad to listen in the background. Happy Sunday. That's a nice one. Let's see that. We'd like to see that. Thanks. Bring it along. Kevin N. When is the BMW i440 available for you to test drive? BMW Canada price very aggressive here, starting at 55k. ID4 77 kilowatt is 45k here. Whoa, that's a bit of a difference. Don't know. BMW very slow in Ireland to get things out, just to get them moving and get things happening for electric cars. We already have a decent electric market here, so it's quite hard, I suppose, to enter it into with that kind of stuff, you know. But we'll see when they come out. Speaking of electric cars, where we're at, Tesla have announced that they are opening their chargers for everybody to use. Now, they haven't said how much that's going to be, and they haven't said how they're going to do it. I have already seen queues at Tesla chargers in Ireland for Teslas, just Teslas, right? There's 8 chargers down in Durrow for Tesla superchargers, and there's regularly 8 cars at that charger. Even I got text messages this morning, people who charge them Teslas ask me how much it costs. Now, the price is the problem. So if they open the charger for everybody and then they say it's going to be €1 per kilowatt, no one's going to use it, right? Unless you're desperately stuck. Everybody wants access to the Tesla chargers, but actually the software is different in Tesla, so you won't charge the same speed as Teslas do at a Tesla charger. Again, we don't know the detail behind it, whether it's going to be throttled, whether you're going to pay more for it, whether it's going to be really expensive, it could be really cheap. There used to be an old, the first Model X's were free to choose on the chargers. They're still fetching big money because you can charge up for free power, like forever. Galway or Mayo? Oh God, I don't know. I'd have to pick Galway because my relatives live in Galway. So that's the only reason I pick Galway. I wouldn't know anything about football or Gaelic around that. Make sure you hit the like button. Thank you very much. And click the share button. Nearly 200 here is 51 likes. Like, you know, I know somebody's watching television, so you can't click a like button because there's no like, but you can scroll down and find it. You sound like you're in a box now. Do I sound like I'm in a box now? Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, I know what it was. I had to flick over to do the screen. Yeah, that's all right. It's working now. Eric Rochard, keep hitting that like button. Thank you very much. Only a handful of likes here today. Automotive L3, afternoon Bob, great show as usual. Thank you very much for joining in. Take me Schnapp. If you're a person who has not much knowledge on the workings of your car and leave the car in for service, how do you know if it's been serviced? You don't. You have to take your chances. There is some telltale signs about being serviced, so you can pull the oil dipstick and just have a look and see that the oil should be golden brown. It should look a little bit like honey when it's fresh, brand new, fresh stuff. The filter, the physical look of the filter, it should look brand new. It looks like it's spun on. You can open up the air filter and have a look at the air filter yourself. See if it looks clean, looks done out. Air filters are not part of a basic service. A basic service is usually an oil filter and oil change. That's pretty much it. Spark plugs, you have no way to tell them when they're spark, unless you take them out and look at them and see if you can tell. And the same for glow plugs. You won't have a way unless you actually physically see them. But I would suggest any place that got caught saying they serviced the car, spending the money for service of the car, and then they didn't service the car, would be in business for 5 minutes. Because that kind of word spreads really, really fast in a car community. That puts people out of business. Any sort of leftover doubt in people's minds, and everybody gets very upset about it. But really, you're checking the oil. Oil would be the main thing. Just pull the dipstick out, make sure it looks like honey, and then you've got fresh oil in there. If it looks black or looks really blackened already, that's not terribly fresh oil. I would be a fan of dropping the oil out of the oil sump as well, rather than using one of them siphony yokes. I don't think those siphony yokes pull out all of the oil at all. I think they leave bits in there. I'm just saying. I know mechanics are going, it doesn't really matter, it's easier to siphon out to the top. But I just think the siphon doesn't do as good a job as gravity. There's a Jack McDonald show. How are things? Not bad, Jack. Thank you very much for dropping in. Meme Master, what do you think of the future of fossil fuels selling second-hand dealers? Will it become more exclusive to the market, or will it die at death? So the way we're going right now, the way it looks right now, is that electric is taking the lead. But I actually think that there's things happening in the background that we don't know about all the time that's going to keep combustion engines keep on coming. Mercedes are developing I'm driving a Mercedes this week, PHEVs that are doing really well. They have electric PHEV, they have a PHEV diesel and petrol. You got BMW, who've been developing really, really good diesel and petrol engines for a very long time. They're going that PHEV route as well. They're all doing that, and it's not just because they want to run out the last of their engines. It's also because there has to be a future. Because Ireland is a tiny little island on the west coast of Europe. Well, the west coast of England now, but the west coast of Europe as well. But that little tiny island is grand for electric cars. But when you're living in France and you're driving over to Germany, it's not as straightforward as it may seem. Very few electric cars, although the newer ones can do good mileage, very few electric cars can actually do a whole commute, all of your day's work, and not need a charge at the end of it. They all need a charge at the end. And it's that thing that's actually kind of sticking in people's minds, I think, more than anything. That's the sentiment I get from people, the concerns I have for people out there. They're interested in electricity, but they're too expensive. They're still vastly overpriced. The price of electric cars, the price walk from a standard petrol to an electric car is vast. It's a chasm of a thing. And the price of cars overall in this country is far too high. I don't see a future to having as much of a share of diesel in the market. I think the diesel share went up to 70-80% year on year. But it's back down now. It's way back down. More people are buying petrol, which weirdly is more CO2 coming out of it than diesel does. But and yet Eamon Ryan is talking about get rid of all the CO2s. But the thing is, the CO2 part is not the real fight. It's NOx with diesel and other gases. But like they've never been as clean. And yet here we are again, back in that same sort of problem. Let's get rid of diesels. Let's go electric. What happens when electric is the problem and it's not working either? They say it's clean, they say it's better, they say it's nicer, but they're still mining stuff out of the ground, right? Still making new stuff. It's not that much better. They say, I understand, it's my understanding, I keep saying those sort of things, that electric cars cost more in environmental damage and CO2 to manufacture than a petrol diesel car does in the manufacturing process alone. So anyway, you can't get any bleeding cars at the moment. There's no battery, there's no chips around. A lot of VWs coming in from Japan, for sure. There's loads of them. VWs, JDM cars, Japanese cars are manufactured in Japan, along with European cars are manufactured in Japan, manufactured in that part of the world. You'll find that Korean cars are the same. If Hyundai and Kia are on sale in Japan, you can import a Japanese version of those cars. They're all there. The Jap import thing is going to be big business, and anyone who's ignoring it at the moment is going to be silly. You're going to get your ass handed to you later on, because there's people who are negotiating their way into that segment of the market right now as being expert Japanese import cars, because it's not something that the general public would take on usually by themselves. They would try it in the UK because everybody speaks English and everything's written in English and everything's okay over there, and we've done it for years, so they'll chance it there, but they're not going to chance it in Japan, because you're dealing with someone on the internet, you're dealing with money exchanging hands and things going into escrow and all these other things that has to be dealt with. That's a whole different ballgame. And anyway, there's a shortage of second-hand cars in Ireland. Mad shortage of second-hand cars in Ireland. Front 242. Hi Bob, want something a wee bit better in my mid-50s. Is a Kia Stinger any good? Still to commute 40 miles a day? Yep. What with 2 litre as opposed to the V6? Economy and speed. I like the Stinger. Love the Stinger. I think it's a lovely car. Hugely overlooked. Actually, it's kind of expensive here as well, but very much overlooked. It's a great car to drive. Either one, 2 litre or the V6. V6 is lovely because it makes great noises. The 2 litre is nice. It doesn't make as good a noise, but it's still a nice car to drive. Kia outdid themselves, I think, with the look of that car. Very rare to see one. When you do see it, it stands out a mile. It'll make you feel special all day long, and you still have to do your commute every day. Graham Cullen. Hi Bob, you talk about a lack of second-hand cars in Ireland. There, I see BBC went to report about a UK car owners holding onto their cars and higher demand for used car, driving prices up in the UK. That's what's happening here as well. Average age. Now, cars are selling well. This is the dilemma of Ireland is this. Cars are selling really well. Okay, so new cars are for sale, but there actually isn't that many cars. So you have, when you're ordering a car, you got a very long waiting list for that car. That's new. Used, the problem there is they're very healthy sales for used cars. People were in an average 8-9 year old car are now upgrading into the last 2 or 3 years. But where are those cars coming from? Because we never have enough cars in this country. We've always supported them by bringing in more from the UK, but where are the cars in the UK now? Because people are holding on to cars over there. They're getting stuck looking for cars. The Northern Ireland are basically sold out. So when you start to look at some of the dealerships, and I work with Kiri's car store in Dublin regularly went from, I suppose, 700-800 cars in stock across the entire nation to maybe 300 cars in stock for a while there. It's coming back up again, but they're not the only ones. Culmore Cars, same again. You look across all those places that are bringing in large amounts of used cars in from the UK, and you can see that they're struggling to get stock every day. It's getting harder and harder to get stock as the UK is running short. And when the UK runs short, we're on the back fence straight away. So it's going to drive up the price of used cars here. I seen an 07 car this morning, a guy looking for €7,000 for it, and you're looking at it going, why would you pay $7,000 for an 07 car? But it's happening. It's happening because they know that they're starting to get that kind of money. I know dealerships that are ringing up lads off Done Deal and adverts and everywhere else, buying their car used from them direct for the dealership just to have stock of the cars. It is that kind of that sort of desperate out there right now. I don't know what we're going to do about it because we drive on the wrong side of the road. So it's not like we can ring up France and go, hello, we need 100 Citroens or something. We can't because they're all the wrong way around for us driving. It's crazy, isn't it? Mark Turner-Smith thought with non-EV ban 2030 nobody will have any choice in new cars like myself. The guy said he was thinking the ban unrealistic, happened due to the infrastructure lacking. Yes, now, so the ban everybody's talking about, the 2030 ban is on manufacturing new diesel engines, new combustion engines from 2030 onwards, right? Now, every industry person I have spoken to about that ban says there's no way to achieve it. It is impossible to just go, we're finished. No more diesel or petrol by 2030. It's all going to be battery now. We can't get enough battery now. It's crazy. We can't get enough cars now. And now we're going to put all the eggs into the basket just saying, right, electric is the only way forward. So most of the industry analysts I've ever talked to said they're going to start appealing that ban. They're going to start pushing to get that ban overturned or extended by another 10 years because it's just not possible. It's not possible to achieve. Most of these things are done by politicians who want to just talk out loud and make themselves feel brilliant, when in actual fact what's happened is they don't talk to the industry. They talk to lobbyists, but they don't talk to the industry. That's the problem. The industry goes, we can't do it. We can't make that many cars that fast. It's not possible. But let's see what happens when 2030 comes around. What are we on now? 2021. If they were going to ban them, you'd have to really stop kind of selling them by 2025. You know, because why would you want to, like, you're going to have cars that'll fall, like, you're not just going to stop in 2030 and go, right, we're done now with electric, with petrol and diesel, that's it. But it is straight petrol and diesel engines that they've been talking about, right? Just bear that in mind, that it's not PHEVs, but they have taken the grants off, have the grants off PHEVs in Ireland, so maybe that'll come in. Terry Wright says, we have the volleyball teams agreed to bring all 300 pounders. I don't know about that part, but they certainly have gotten, Graham Cullen volleyball, they got fined for shorts, but it didn't read exactly what the fine level. Ridiculous to me. Totally ridiculous. I don't understand why women can't wear what they want to wear. In sports, particularly. I find the same in running. I always assume that the women wear essentially what is a bikini in the running because that's what they want to wear. But I'm not sure if maybe that's a uniform. Maybe they have to wear that. Because then they see men out running, they're just wearing a vest and a pair of shorts. And they're all covered up. Their arms are out. That's about it, really. You know, I don't get it. I don't know why women wear less. Maybe they want to, though. I don't know. It's up to them. Kevin says, is there somewhere in Ireland that replaces electric car batteries? Technically, a dealership can do it. But if you mean transferring your petrol diesel car into an electric car, there's one company in Wicklow that's kind of doing that, but it's prohibitively expensive. It's way more than the car is worth. 4 or 5 grand easily for any car, no matter what the car is. But they are changing cars over. You can do that yourself. There is kits that can be bought online. Now, how safe they are, I don't know, but there is kits you can buy online to convert a petrol or diesel car, a standard car you're driving, and puts in a battery pack into it. How successful that is, or how useful that's going to be to you, I don't know. I mean, I was talking to Andy Buckley the other day, getting work done in his place. He does Andy Buckley crash repairs in Kildare. Look him up, he's a really good guy. He's painting a bumper for me for my Leon. We're going to do stuff with the car. We're doing stuff this year. But I was talking to Andy about it, and we wanted to do this little project where we take the running gear from a Nissan Leaf and put it into something else and then mess with the torque on it so it gets 100% torque all the time and make a race car or something. We're just spitballing. But it's interesting to think of someone who's a complete petrol head going, what can you do with an electric car? What can we push it to? How hard can we make it go? Which I think is a good idea. But we do have one place in Ireland that I know replaces battery, but I know dealerships are capable or able of doing it as well, or at least are training for it. Steve McCormick, with the expected move to EVs, people will be slower to invest in fossil car for fear of being stuck with it. So the second-hand market should flourish for a while. It will. I think it will. I think there's certain things that are going to change. There's still things that electric motors, engines, and batteries, or whatever you want to call them, can't do. But I think we'll get through that over time. Depending on, it's all about business. It's all about whether business will do it or not. Like I seen a Tesla truck, the big rig truck driving around in a video recently. But they didn't say was there anything in the trailer, or was the trailer just one big battery, or how they were doing the battery part of it. They just don't seem to be able to get this going in a commercial sense, that once businesses do it, we're sorted. Like, for instance, we've done nothing to address the fact that businesses in Ireland can claim the VAT back on diesel, but they can't on petrol, and they can't on electricity. So just deal with that problem. If you deal with what business does, you deal with what fleets do, you deal with what VAT registered business people. This shows you what kind of people are in government, right? They're not business people. A business person sits down and go, well, if I could claim the VAT back on electricity and claim the VAT back on my charge point at home and my putting in charge points in work, if I could do that, I'd go harder at it because there's money in it for them. But if they can't claim the VAT back or get a tax rebate or get a government grant or whatever it is, if they can't do that, it's like, nah, why would I bother? Sure, I can claim the VAT back on diesel. Why would I bother then? See, business people. That's how you get money. That's how you get everything moving forward very quickly because business get involved in it. Graham Cullen, rain. Thankfully, Edinburgh are due some next week after a hot day tomorrow. Well, we're on water restrictions here at night time, and yet we had a massive downpour the other day. We were driving down to the lake, Loch Derg, second day in a row. We're going down to it, and we got stuck on the N7 because a vintage VW camper van went on fire. I had it on my TikTok and I had it on my Instagram and stuff, but it's an old vintage VW van and it just burnt to the ground. And when I say burnt to the ground, you could no longer make out it was a car or a van. It just, crispy wheels was all that was left of the thing. It just completely burnt down. It took a long time for the lads to put it out. We were there for an hour and a half stuck in traffic. Met some lovely people. We were all sitting outside the road having a chat. It was a lovely time. But an hour and a half passed among nice people. We still got stuck there for an hour and a half though. So you end up just going to Barack Obama Plaza. That's still embarrassing to say, lads. You need to change the name of that. It was Moneygall Plaza, and then we just went home again because it got too late because we just like burned all the time there, and then the thunderstorms ahead of us and stuff. So we'll go back down to Loch Derg again. It's a great place to go. By the way, you have two mics on. I have two mics on. I've only one mic connected, that's for sure. Oh, wait now a second. No, that's right. I'm alright with that one, yeah. That's alright. See. On your input capture. Mic aux. Is that working? Which one's mic aux? Hold on. That's right. Audio input capture. That's that one. That's not that one. Okay. Is that working better? I don't know if that's better. Anyway, we'll continue. Hang on, just catch up with it again there. Automotive 3, with the Galaxy Mayo question, you can put Galway Mayo question, you can put Galway in your tuna sandwich. You can't put Galway. Oh, mayo. Oh, mayonnaise, of course. Oh, mayonnaise. Yeah, sorry, that's a joke not intended for Irish people. Everyone's instantly like, well, no, mayo in a sandwich. It's all sorted now. I hope that mic is working okay, is it? Yeah. Audio input capture is working. Desktop audio is off. Video capture device is off. Audio input capture is that microphone. Yes. Screen record window is that one. That is using the wrong mic there. It's different entirely. That's that one. Yeah, okay. So back to scene. We're okay. Good. We're good. We're still running. Yeah, we're alright. We're alright. Technicals. It's always technical stuff. It's very hard to run a live show on your own. It is. Especially if you're not used to it. Johnny though, bit of invisible ink on the filters and check after service to see if it's moved or gone. You could do that as well, yeah. I used to put, years ago now, I used to put a little scratch into the oil filter and stuff underneath. You could do that kind of thing if you wanted to, but other than that, I wouldn't be bothered like anyone who got caught doing that would be closed down. Like trading standards equivalent here in this country, you could complain to the Consumer Board of Ireland. You do all kinds of things that do harm in that. Even just the wrong words on social media is enough to destroy these kind of guys. Just look now for a second. I might be bringing you back to have a look at system generation again in a few minutes, because that is still going. Anyway, have you test driven an Audi RS Q3? No, I don't think so. Q3, no. I wouldn't buy any RSQ anything, to be honest with you. If I was buying an RS, I would buy the RS cars. An SUV RS doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. Unless you go up to the Audi Q5, where you get the similar idea of the the X5M, which would be the version of that, or X6M is the other one. So I wouldn't bother with any one of those. But if you want to, if that's what you're into, no, I haven't driven it though. Dave McCarthy, they must make some ICE that's internal combustion engine for a long time. Many places in the world don't even have reliable power for homes and own luxury like an electric car. Another factor I have to consider here is that even if Ireland was to go 100% electric car tomorrow, what difference are we going to make to the world? Really, the overall CO2 emissions of the entire planet, and little old Ireland here with 2.5 million cars go, wow, look at us. We're going to go full electric and we're done. Now we're in low CO2. What happens then? Like, what difference is that made? We need to be at the bargaining table to be given out to people like India and China and South America, who do nothing but like straight pipe everything and just put whatever car they want on the road, no questions asked. Or they build a power station that's running on coal, and that's the end of it. There's no question. Like, we can be nice little good European citizens here in Ireland, but we really need to be demanding more of the rest of the world to keep up with us, because otherwise we're just looking out at the entire world going, yeah, we have a lovely green Ireland, haven't we? That's it. That's 2.5 million cars. We're all gone quiet. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that we need to do more to push against what everyone else is trying to tell us to do. We're constantly being filmed into this one little point of light to go, we're going to ban ICE cars. We're going to ban this. We're going to ban that. We're going to tax you to death with carbon taxes if you don't do it. We're going to tax your car into oblivion. We're going to hit it with the NCTs. We're going to make sure it's NCT'd every single year. There's so much going on just to get these cars on the road. But like, what difference is it really going to make if my 2006 Seat Leon runs on 20 euros worth of petrol for a week or 20 quid's worth of electricity for a week? What difference does that make? Sorry, end rant. Michael Carton. Hi Bob. First car ever was a 1989 Daihatsu Charade. Good car. Jap Import. Electric windows and mirrors, sunroof and sports seats. Back in 1986 it was the bee's knees. I still miss it. Love the show. Thanks, Michael. I can remember there was a 1 litre diesel Daihatsu Charade that everybody wanted in Ireland, because a 1 litre diesel. No turbos. This thing was dead in the water, but it could do about 100 miles to the gallon. It was an amazing thing. Absolutely amazing. Harry Greenlee. Hi Bob, I'm from America. What language are you speaking? The language of go find yourself something better to do with your life. There you are. Did I say that fast enough? When the Americans learn what an adverb is, then maybe you should learn to comment drive safely from Canada. Come on, Kevin. Sean Hopkins. No ice for passenger cars. Yeah, I know, but still, like, what difference what difference is 2 million cars going to make to the world? It's not even 2 million anymore. It's about 1.5 now. Like, what real difference have we made by forcing people into very expensive cars? Let's talk about another factor here, is inflation. And I'm going to recommend a channel for you to watch. It's, you know, Harry Metcalf, right? Everybody knows Harry's Garage, right? Well, don't just watch Harry's Garage. Watch Harry's Farm, which is a different channel, but it's still Harry Metcalf. He went to JCB. JCB in the UK decided that they're going to use hydrogen for their JCB vehicles in the future, not electric. They have a number of good arguments why they're saying electric doesn't work for a JCB, because of the working hours. So they reckon a passenger vehicle works about 800 hours in a month, or in a year. Is it a year or a month? I can't remember what it is. Anyway, but a JCB works 300 hours, but it does it all in a very concentrated period. Same as a farm, equipment, tractors and so on. They work in a very concentrated way. So over a period of 3 weeks, the tractor works from dawn till dusk. End of story. And then it disappears out for a few months and doesn't really come back out all that much. So his point with the hydrogen factor is that you can just fill it up and go on. It's internal combustion with hydrogen, not fuel cell. This is combustion. So this is just putting into a petrol tank essentially inside the car, and away it goes. Now, when you listen to JCB talk about it, it's actually really interesting to think about how this can be done. And it means that their machines can go into play. They're no heavier. So they never talk about weight as well, which is my big bugbear. Is we've gone from the average car weighing 900 kgs to now weighing 1500 kgs. Ergo Peugeots and all those kind of small cars out there. They're 1.5 tons. Like, and when you go to the other end of the scale, like the Audi Q5 e-tron, or whatever that e-tron, big one e-tron's called, that's 3 tons. Like, that's a big car. So if you're crossing your little bridge in the back ass of nowhere, you're driving into a field and you're crossing a little wooden bridge or whatever, these things will break the stuff. Like, they're so heavy. It's huge. So if you multiply that out to be in the JCB, you're having 4, 5, 6 tons extra of batteries in the vehicle. So what they're doing is they're going hydrogen. They can deliver hydrogen to the sites in form of kind of tubes, and they can do it all that way. So this is where now that's going to spark a new debate. That's where things have changed a bit, because once one big company, and JCB, make no mistake, is one of the biggest companies on the globe for heavy goods machinery. All kinds of stuff as well, big diggers, massive quarry diggers, all that sort of stuff. They do all that kind of stuff, and tractors, fast tracks, all that sort. That's all JCB. So if you think a big company like that and they're going to go hydrogen, how many others are going to follow along behind the back of that and start doing hydrogen as well? That's going to change the landscape of this again. That's going to open a whole new realm of argument. And that's good, because Toyota have been messing around with the hydrogen thing for a long time. I'm not saying hydrogen for passenger vehicles, but the problem there is that hydrogen is very hard to move around and it's very hard to store. You have to install all the hydrogen fuel stations, all that sort of stuff. But if you get 2 or 3 of them dotted around the country that are there to fuel up buses or trucks or whatever, you're changing the argument again. And this is where we need to start looking at it. If we're all going to rush into electric cars and hydrogen comes along, we all go, oh yeah, hydrogen, that was actually a good idea. You should all buy hydrogen cars now. It's much better than electric. Whew, much better than electric. You see how the argument continues? Just this renewing stuff all the time. Do you think we need serious consideration to switching to left-hand drive like the rest of the EU, says Jerry Campbell? Yes, I do actually, to be honest with you. I think it's something we could start looking at. I'm not saying we should do it, but at least we should open the argument on it. At least we should start looking at the problem and going, we are now the only country in Europe that drives on this side of the road. And the only reason we do that is because Northern Ireland drives on that side of the road and the rest of the UK does as well. And we import all our cars from the UK. Why can't we just flip the side of the road? Why can't we seriously look at that and Northern Ireland with us if they want to? Or not, whatever they want to do. This is done through African countries all the time. We always think of African countries lagging behind Europe, but they don't, you know. There's a lot of African countries out there who are first world countries, 100%, and they drive on the side of the road they want to. There are borders in Africa as you pass from country to country where you're going from a left-hand drive to a right-hand drive situation on the roads. And that's just 100 metres of border, you change the other side of the road. So it's totally possible. And I really do think we should not necessarily do it, but we should certainly examine the point of doing it. We would open up a whole new realm of things in the UK and in Europe for imports. We would have a better supply chain of cars for import, because the Germans will be manufacturing the cars the same spec as us, on the same side of the road as us, so the cars will be manufactured at the same time as everybody else. It would just change everything, and I really do think it would be a massive difference for us, particularly us in this country, to be able to drive on the other side of the road. But that means a group needs to be set up to examine how we could do it and whether it'd be even feasible to do it. How hard would it be? I don't think it'd be that hard, to be honest with you. Automotive L3 says the cost between EV and ICE is too great. The break-even point is at least 120,000 miles or 12 years, which is about the point you would replace it. I see there's different levels. I've seen there's an Australian guy, a YouTuber as well. He says about 7 years before you break even on the price difference in buying the car, but you have to be doing something like 100,000 kilometers a year, something like. There's some mathematical ideas, but he said between 7 and 10 anyway. Yeah, so like if you look at a Hyundai Kona, I think there's 18,000 euros difference between the Hyundai Kona petrol and electric. And if you think about that price difference, that is the price of a Dacia Sandero, new one, and they're a good car, and that's one that runs on LPG as well. So like, there's problems on every point of this. My wife has turned up. We have a different drink. Is that gin and tonic? Lemonade. Oh, it's just lemonade. I thought for a minute I was about to get a gin. Freshly made lemonade. She made lemonade. Oh my God, that's lovely. Nice. My wife made lemonade. That. This is out of my wife. Best part of the day. Anyway, yes, about 12 years according to Automobile 3. But if you look at other ones, they say 7 to 10 or whatever it is around there. But if you take into account the CO2 emissions, cost of manufacturing, battery power, mining, all that sort of stuff, you're probably right. I'd say about 12 years before they even get anywhere near how much it costs to make an internal combustion engine, which is made very quickly. Brian O'Sullivan, hi Bob, I'm 29 and looking for a 2020 Kia Exceed 1 litre turbo petrol for 22k. Any thoughts on the Exceed, how it drives, alternative would I consider, the interior? No, I like the Exceed, always did. Exceed is a seed with a sort of plastic fairings around the wheel arches. They raise the suspension a little bit, so it looks like a sort of a small SUV crossed over with a standard 5-door hatchback. It's an interesting car. The 1 litre turbo petrol has proven itself to be okay. I don't see too many people complaining about them, so they seem to be working. My neighbour bought an Exceed. She bought the PHEV one, so they're around. I've seen a few of them around. They're pretty good. Nice looking car. It's stylish as well. And I can't remember where I went for Exceed. Was that the south of France? I think I went for the Exceed launch of that. It was a great old launch. Kia launches are usually pretty good. Ross Worrell says, this is my first YouTube live. Congratulations. You have now popped your cherry of YouTube lives. This is live. Yes, it is live. We don't stop. Martin Smith, good point, Bob. What on earth would manufacturers do with surplus combustion engine car stock? As you point out, production can't just stop buying on certain time of day. You can't. You can't. You think of the... And let's look at another factor here, supply chain. Supply chain of manufacturing engines, manufacturing anything, has a chain of things behind it. And car companies have that same chain. Car companies make engines. I've been in factories. I've been in a Peugeot factory. I've been in Wolfsburg. I've been places where they actually make the engines. They actually put the whole thing together, but they don't make them. There's loads of other engines. You know what I mean? There's loads of things that are happening out there. They've got all the different kinds of engines out there as you can possibly imagine, and they're all put together by different people and different components. Continental will be a big part of what goes into plastics and engine stuff. So there's tons of different parts and components. And you can't just go, good luck, that's it, we're finished with you. That's it. What about all those jobs? Where did all those jobs go? They all disappear, right? So Volkswagen announced earlier on this year they're going to dump 18,000 employees over the next year. And however he said it, it sounded like a positive step. He made it sound like a positive thing. Like, yes, we're going to get rid of 18,000 employees this year because we're leaning up the operation. We're management heavy and we want to do this. And sure enough, that's exactly what they're doing. And that's going to continue. That won't stop because there's lads who make components for engines that won't have a job after 2030. That job will be gone. Some will retrain. Some, but not all, that's for sure. USB mic. Yeah, the mic's okay though, right? Everything's running okay. On this end, I see audio everywhere and all is okay. To me, says M. Jones, the distance electric vehicles go needs to be more than double the realistic for most consumers. That's not even factoring in the mountains and minus 20 weather. That's a good point as well. The variance, and I know petrol and diesel cars get less fuel economy in winter because we run the heaters more, but they're more predictable. I've seen electric cars, you know, you're going on the road and you reach a mountain in Wicklow and all of a sudden you're not going on the road as fast as you were a minute ago because you want to save as much electricity as you can. How many times have you been up the motorway, you're overtaking a car, it's in lane 1, it's doing 100 kilometers an hour, it's maybe even doing 80 kilometers an hour. What is it? An electric car. This happens all the time as people are just scared to do it. I don't think you can slow the world down, lads. I don't think you can say to people, you should be driving 100 kilometers an hour. You should. Yeah, we should. It doesn't necessarily mean I want to. And then there's petrol heads as well. People out there who just like the freedom of driving and they want something that's noisy and is good and fun to drive. And they want all that. And they're not willing to sit back and just hoover along an electric car. I kind of like it. I've gotten sort of used to it. But I don't think everybody will. Dave Davis, hi Bob, I heard in the USA you cannot park your EV car in the basement of an apartment block, for example, because of fire risk. Any restrictions like that in Ireland? We don't have restrictions, but there certainly will be questions asked about electric car fires. America got a bit of a fright simply because if you look up some of the websites, you'll find that there's absolutely tons of electric cars that have been sold in America. It is very high ownership level, and it's such like. The queues on bank holiday weekends, on holiday seasons for electric car charge points, I'm sure there's going to be problems. America tends to be the focus of a lot of stuff because it's English speaking. It's fast moving, and also they have such a variety of vehicles over there that when one goes on fire, that's what we hear about. So we've had Tesla fires that couldn't be put out for days. People have been, they probably bring in some sort of fire restrictions as well. We don't have it here, but then we're pretty hands off with a lot of stuff like that. We don't do anything about stuff until something happens. That's usually the problem, is we do nothing, something happens, and then a massive law comes in and canes it. John has submitted some money by super chat. Thank you, John. In exchange for a question. I was in Askham in Furness, Cumbria, on the beach and parked up, and was an old Bond 7875 and no Cortina being used as nothing more than a shed. Sad when people get project don't get off the ground to see your Insta. Yeah, I know. Once a project starts, it's very difficult for me when you're out wandering about the countryside, or you're driving about and you're looking at stuff and you spot a little piece of metal through the hedge, you have a look, and it's obviously like a Capri or something that someone's after starting. They bought as a project, and then they lose interest in it, or it becomes too expensive, or it's just too time consuming, or whatever, and it gets put into the yard and it starts to just slowly disintegrate into its own footprint. That is scary. I know a man who has a Mustang, a Mark III Mustang, the ugly one, the one that's not very pretty, and he bought it because he wanted a Mustang, and there it has stood outside his front door for the last 4 or 5 years, slowly rotting. God, that lemonade is lovely. My wife made really nice lemonade. Slowly rotting into its own footprint. That's just, it's scary to see, because that's the last of its breed. There won't be more of that car, and when that one's gone, it's just one less one on the road, you know. And they were unloved to begin with, but things that are ugly often become really cool when they're ugly first. So people want to see them after that. JV, what about hydrogen fueled ICEs that we banned despite being ZE? It's a mistake to dismiss. They could be made cheaper, lighter, with less precious metal. I'm 100% with you, JV. My dream would be to just have a hydrogen version of what we've got already. That's it. Take the fuel away and replace it with hydrogen, and you've got it. I know they're not very efficient, but we could certainly do something with that. We can burn hydrogen. It's hard to say, use the same terminology as a petrol engine, diesel engine. You can use hydrogen in an engine to replace it. We can use different fuels, so cars can run on gas, like LPG. We've done that for years. These things just go on. Like, it's not two engines in the car; it's the one engine combusting the same thing. We can combust hydrogen, we can certainly do it. But hydrogen is very expensive to manufacture. It's very expensive to transport. It's very expensive in every way because there's no infrastructure yet. Bit of investment, that infrastructure will appear. And I'd love to see it, because I really would love to see an alternative to electric. I know electric's good, but we need some sort of alternative. We can't just put all our eggs into one basket and go on again. We did that with diesel and it didn't work out. John, hi Bob, do you know if we can have electric car charger installed on the first floor mason with no power access to the ground side building of a driveway off site to the right? Well, there's the problem. The problem is the length of the cable from the charger is going to be a problem for a start, right? So the charger box has to be within a certain distance of the car. You can't just have the one cable draped across the ground. Insurance risk is huge. Longer cable have their own little electrical problems too. If you have a separate bill than the other people in your house, so if you've got a bill coming to and it's in your name and it's coming from your meter, that's the thing. It has to come from your meter, because otherwise there's this great big pool system that works in most apartment systems where you don't get an individual bill, you get a bill for all the apartments. That can cause problems. And on the first floor you can't do it. The charge would have to be on the ground floor outside. There is all kinds of problems. There's a guy, Des Mulhare Electrical. If you give him a call, just Google Mulhare Electrical, you'll find him there. His phone number's on the site. Give him a call and talk it through with him. He'll tell you what to do as to what you can and can't do at the moment. There is stuff happening around apartment blocks and around putting fast chargers for apartment blocks. It is happening, but it has to be a unified approach. We can't kind of make a solution for that apartment without thinking about the other apartments and where their charge boxes all go. You know, everybody needs a charge box. Model Farmer. There's Shay DC over from TikTok. Shay has a TikTok channel. He's a young man with his own TikTok farming channel. It's a model toy diorama, is what you call it. William, Managed to get a quote of only 1,700 on a petrol Focus ST at the age of 19. Did a lot of ringing around. You see, the more ringing around you do, the more the quote's going to be. My insurance is up for renewal very shortly. I got my renewal quote in the post, and it's very high compared to what it was last year. They've done it again. It's the same stuff. This nonsense that the insurance companies are going to be taking to task over the prices they're charging for insurance is garbage. It's garbage as far as I can see. First thing that's happened is my new quote has come out and it's like €200 more expensive than it was last year. And nothing has changed. The car is the same, the house the same, the address the same, the person is the same. Nothing has changed. Just everything is 1 year older and it's now £200 more expensive for some reason. So I'm going to phone around. And when I phone them up, I know what's going to happen. I phone them up and they'll go back down to the price they were last year. It'll be the same thing again. And you think you saved money when you didn't. You paid the same price you paid last year. It is scandalous what goes on with insurance companies at times, what they try and do and how they try and do it and how they behave amongst people. It just really drives me absolutely mad. But insurance is a whole different ballgame, and I get to oh my god, ring everybody. But I'll be doing that. I'll make some TikToks and Instagram posts and stuff out of who I call and what I get and how I get the quotes and things, because I always pay the least amount of insurance, but it does take me a whole bleeding day. Government should tackle construction and agriculture in regards to CO2 emissions. Well, we had to go at it. Oh, sorry, there's a first half of that. Dynamic Frames says, hi Bob, sunny Scotland. Surely it's more ecological to keep a car that is already made running until its death rather than trading it for new electric. That's my determination. I'm told that's wrong, but that's the way I would see it. Not making something new is the best way of protecting the environment holistically, not necessarily CO2 emissions or whatever. You can think about that differently, but if you take out everything else, all the manufacturing, all the refining, all the stuff that has to be done to a car before it gets to your driveway, none of that has to be done if you don't buy another car. None of it's all done. It's all done. So my 2006 14-year-old Seat Leon, 15-year-old Seat Leon has paid its price in CO2 emissions over and over again. It passes the CO2 emissions every single year, and the NCT it always has. So who's wrong? Government should tackle construction agriculture in regards to CO2 emissions. I don't know if agriculture really is the problem. I think agriculture is part of the problem, and I think construction is part of the problem. But I actually think it's us. I actually think if people stop just buying, just replacing things all the time, there's always something new coming out. Every time I open an internet page, it's not a new thing. What's actually after happening is they've just made something, updated something, and we're all supposed to buy it again. I was going to buy a cycle computer the other day, and I was looking at Wahoo, and Garmin have one as well. Now I have a Garmin watch, so that's why I was looking at the Garmin one. But I noticed that Wahoo have stopped selling their best-selling product because they brought out another version. So a fella was testing one version against the other version, and essentially, he was the only guy who said it, they're both the same, just one has a slightly bigger screen. That was the only difference, but one was €100 more expensive. So I kept looking at this, thinking, this is what's happening in the whole world. This is a reflection of everything that's happening in the whole world. We, instead of continually using something until it's destruction, till there's no way you can use it any further, repair it any further, we just replace it, even though there's actually nothing wrong with it. We just replace the thing. There's nothing particularly after happening. Just get rid of it. Weird, isn't it? There must be some sort of word that covers that. Sean Hopkins says most hydrogen is made from natural gas. There is that. How they make hydrogen. But like I say, how they made batteries to begin with was very destructive as well. Now they make batteries better. They recycle them better. So investment has changed how they made batteries and how batteries were mined out of the ground. How old Prius batteries manufactured, mining lithium and sending it to Canada, or getting it out of Canada, send it to England or Japan for refinement before it went somewhere else. Like, it was stupidly offset. Even making a Tesla in America and bringing it over here on ships to sell it in Europe, that doesn't seem any good either. But investment level will make it move on. So I think a little bit of investment into hydrogen as to how it's made and where we're making it from and how we get it here. And, it's all about investment. Minsk, 100% right, Bob. The US under Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord because of China and India were given emerging nation status exemption, puts other nations under economic disadvantage. That's the thing I'm talking about. Is China is, let's be serious, there are parts of China that are well into the first world, right, and above. They exceed what we do here in terms of economic impact. The Chinese can be a huge economic impact across the world. Before COVID, you'd meet Chinese people in every airport in Europe, wandering around the place, buying everything. You meet them all the time in Kildare Village. All the time. They come here to Kildare Village to buy their Nike and all that sort of stuff and take it home in truckloads. But India, not so much. You don't meet them here so much, but is a huge economic force in the world. And they're just excused. Both those countries are just excused out of the Paris Accord. And little old Ireland here has to stick into it. Because why? Because we can afford it? I don't get it. Thomas McGuire, I heard in the USA you cannot park an EV car in the basement of an apartment block, for example, because I'm a fire risk. Lol, no. I don't know whether that's true or not. Just wouldn't make any sense. I would say any car is a basic fire risk, but I know America's very reactive to things, so they may have brought out some sort of state or something local law or other because of something that might or might not happen. There's a lot of that, a lot of reactionary things. I spoke to an American lawyer one time, and he said to me that there's more laws than people know anymore. Like there's no way. They have to sit and just pore over books to find a law that suits their defense. That's how they do it. So they might have some sort of rule or law or whatever out there, but I'd never heard of it. I don't think you'd be ever hear it, to be honest with you. We don't really do it until the worst happens. Edward out of here says, hi Bob, love the show. Girlfriend from Germany in company wants nearly €2,000 because she has a German license. Yet I go to Germany, drive anything with my license, cost nothing, so much in Europe. That shouldn't really happen. My license is good in any other European country. I don't change, I don't have an international driver license to go drive press cars in other countries. I just have my own license. It's a card, it's the same license as everywhere else. It even looks like German licenses. The same thing. I don't get where you're getting the €2,000 out of. That sounds crazy. Transfer your license. Actually, I was driving in New Zealand years ago, and I was able to transfer onto a New Zealand license for $50. So no problem. Anyway, Steve McCormick, look how badly it reflects on the EU when they don't persuade Ireland to change, let them drive. Sweden did in 1968. We can't use Sweden really as a proper example. In 68 there would have been a hell of a lot less cars on the road, and even then, from the single picture I've ever seen at that event, it looks like chaos. But I do think we could possibly do it. Without a shadow of a doubt, we could do something here. At least investigate, at least start asking the questions. Is it possible to convert this country to work just like other European countries in the way we drive on the side of the road? And what would be the worst part of that? Apart from the mild chaos that would happen for a few weeks, we've done other stuff. We've done other things. We changed from miles to kilometres. We did that, and there was a lovely information terminal. We stopped smoking inside. We did that, lovely information. We stopped using plastic bags. There's all kinds of things we've done to modify society and the systems we use here. I don't see why we can't at least investigate what it'd be like to change over to the side of the road, and would it be worth it? Mamins, what risk would parking a lot full of EVs pose in a flood? Nothing. It's a sealed unit. Actually, it's probably more sealed in an EV, other than the cabin would flood like any other car. But from an electrical point of view, the whole electrical system of an EV is completely encased. There's no way out. It's a sealed unit. It's a case underneath the batteries, and it's just more or less unpenetrable. A barn, you were to prod something, stick something through it or fork it through it or something, but just standing in water, they'd be better off because there's no air intake either. But like as normal, standing in water, it's going to rust. The parts of the car that are metal as normal would rust, and other stuff would happen as normal, but there'd be no difference between it and a petrol diesel car. The big difference would be after the flood is finished, you could just press a button and drive off, because there would be no air intake to clear out, there'd be no cylinders to clear, there'd be no water to get out of air intakes or out of cylinder heads or nothing like that. Just start and go. Dave McCarthy, none. The battery packs are sealed. Oh, he just answered the question. You can drive underwater if you hold your breath. You could. Obviously, the car bit of the car would still fill up with water. So inside the cabin, you'd still get ingress of water into the cabin and things onto the carpets and seats. But that would happen in any car. Happens with trucks, cars, everything. But as for the motor and the drive shafts or anything else is inside, it's just nothing. It's all totally sealed. Graham Cullen, charging. I remember one of our wonderful politicians here. I can't remember who it was. Got up in a Dáil and said that you couldn't drive an electric car through a flood, through a puddle. Like, he reckoned it was dangerous, and he said that using his Dáil privilege thing that they do. You know that thing they do where they just get up and talk shite until someone says stop. I've driven all the electric cars there is on the road, and I've driven them in all kinds of weather, and I've never had any problem. Nothing. I've driven even like e-golf here in heavy winter snow, and it was fine. Yeah, the range gets a bit shorter, but let's get you the heated seats on. Graham Cullen, changing roadside. Start a road marking company now. Campaign for change. Land massive contract to change the junction markings. Retire happy. You could. Could, yeah. Now, I know our motorways are built to do either. So our exits can be turned into entrances. It's not that hard on a motorway. Modern roads. Older roads, well, is there a side of the road when you're driving on a road with grass down the middle of it? Is there actually a side of the road there in the first place? Lads, I think I'm addicted to lemonade. Skellig Lad says, it's the other way I put an SCH into that. Skellig. That's Hi Bob, is it true that second-hand cars are up 10%? Yeah, 12% in the second-hand market here in Ireland. I have a 2016 Mercedes E-Class from new model. Seems to be up 2-3k in the market now. Yes, they are. They're all at the rise in price quite a bit. It's the main reason I didn't change my Seat Leon 06 was what would I change it to? I would have to spend a lot of money to change into something fairly modern. And if I didn't spend a lot of money, I was going to be buying something I didn't know. And I bought my Leon new from 2006, so I know it inside and out. So instead of spending $5,000 plus the sale of the Leon on a newer car, we put $2,000 into the Leon instead. Now we haven't spent $2,000 on it just yet, but we'll be getting up around there. So we did a water pump, we did a timing belt, we did a full service, we did 2 rear springs, there was a couple of other bits and pieces under the bonnet needed to be fixed as well. New headlamp, new bumper, respray, 4 new tyres, did the whole lot, and the car now drives like new, really does. Sings along, lovely little thing, lovely buzz out the exhaust. I want to get it right. I'm going to get the whole thing validated as well from top to toe and put in a new set of mats and make it look really good, and then we're just going to hold on to it. That's it. Electric cars are too expensive, so I'm not doing that. And used car prices just too high, and what you buy for money is just isn't worth it anymore. Just isn't. A 2 or 3 grand car these days are, you'd have to put 500 or 1,000 euros into a 2 or 3 grand car to make them right, you know. Plus the NCT is killing everything. The NCT kills everything. Aidan McLaughlin, Honda e-driver charging at Portlaoise Plaza, and while he was charging, a Nissan Leaf began charging beside him. Only 20 minutes later, we realised when the Leaf plugged out, it cut off the Honda e-charge. Is that even possible? I thought the priority would have been going to the first car that's charging rather than... Does priority go to CC? No, I know. Nissan Leaf would be CHAdeMO, right? And the Honda E would be CCS. But I would imagine whatever plugged in first would just get the charge. I can't imagine the person plugged in second would get the charge. Seems odd. That seems odd. I don't know now whether that'd be true or not. But it is possible. I've been to charge points with, like I bought a Lexus who used CHAdeMO as well, to a charge point, and I plugged in thinking that if 2 things, the first time I did it, that if 2 things plugged into the same charge point, that it would just divide the charge down to 2 charge points. Doesn't. You get nothing until the other car is fully charged. You sit there all you like, but you get nothing in charge. There's no load balancing in most of those charge points, although the Portlaoise Plaza, Junction 14 Mayfield now has fast charge points that have 2 chargers on either side, fast on one side and kind of more standard on the other. Go to the right hand side of any charger for the fast charge. GP O'Rourke says, hi Bob, I wish Eamon Ryan would buy a new anorak and a new bike. Have you seen the state of him when he's on the telly cycling to work? He really needs to upgrade his bike with no Lycra. I don't mind the Lycra. I cycle now and I wear the old Lycra. Well, it's not Lycra anymore now. It's all kind of stretchy, weird material. Honestly, if you want to be comfortable on a bike, lads, you need a thing called a chamois. You get a pair of stretchy shorts on you that have the belt over the top. They're called bib shorts, and they have a little chamois in it that goes underneath and gets your bits protected from the saddle, and you can cycle a very long way with a chamois in your stuff. So it's very good. Too much information, I know, but Eamon Ryan needs to embrace the chamois. But at the same time, look, I'm all in for people cycling to work and doing all that sort of stuff, and that's great for him to be visible doing that. But realistically, we still don't have any legislation regarding e-scooters. We don't have any legislation as to what is an e-scooter, because I see scooters now going around the town and people have fitted a saddle to them, so they just sit on them like a bike, press the button and go. And it's very comfortable on the long range, I'm sure it is, but is that not a motorbike? They're sitting down, should that not be taxed or insured or something? They're very fast. They have speed restrictions on them. We don't know whether they're supposed to wear helmets, whether we have to wear certain gloves, whether there's an age limit, a speed limit, nothing. They've been promising this legislation for a long time, and we don't have it around bicycles either. I was out for a cycle yesterday, and I cycled at 59 kilometers an hour through the town. I'm not breaking the speed limit though, right? Because I'm a bicycle. Just think about that, right? So 59 kilometers an hour, but I can only sustain that for a minute or two. But I still, as a sprint, I'm overtaking cars. But we don't have anything around it. But yes, I do agree with you, JP O'Rourke. I think Eamon Ryan was a very bad choice as the Minister for Transport. The Minister for Transport is someone who controls a gargantuan budget, a huge budget, one of the biggest budgets, one of the biggest incomes in tax in this country comes from the transport industry. And yet, we put a Green Party member in charge of it. Anyway, Adam Quinn. Hi, Adam Quinn. Hydrogen produces 300 times the NOx when burned in the usual combustion engine, and NOx is the gas that gives ice the bad name. There you are. Now we have hydrogen. We're balls. We can't do hydrogen either. I just like the idea of hydrogen. Snazbot, did anything become of Irish oil? I remember hearing protesters chanting Shell to sea years ago. No, it was all sold out to Shell. We don't own any of our oil resources around Ireland. I would imagine there's massive backhanders there somewhere, but essentially all our oil was given away, unlike Norway, who hold on to all their oil rights. So the money gets invested back into their systems up there. They all make money out of it, which makes them insanely rich, which is why they sell so many electric cars. But they offset their electric stuff by exporting fossil fuels. Norway is built on fossil fuels. Before you all hold up Norway as being the best country in the world, they've got the best thing, look at their prison system, brilliant, this, that. They're built on fossil fuels. The whole thing is. Snazbot. Did any? Oh, I did it. Ancient grey bear. Wow, that's an honour to have an ancient grey bear on my channel. Hi Bob, you are spot on about using something until it's dead. And then about Cuba, that still has loads of 1950s, 1960 cars, still running with chewing gum and rubber bands. Love the show. I'm a person, look, that's an iPhone 6, right? So I will use that until the battery no longer holds a charge. Then I'll get a new battery for it, because the battery's about 30 quid for that. 20 quid I think they are for iPhone 6. But I do have an iPhone 12 as well, because I need it for work. I need fast, I need something big, I need something with a really good camera, because it's used all the time for work. So unless I have a purpose for a new thing, I won't buy it. And if I think I might need it, I tend to look for it second hand. So I want to reuse something that's already used. I bought most of my camera equipment when I started off on the channel here was all second hand, bought from adverts. Phones second hand, bought from those shops uptown. Everything I was using was all second hand. Now I bought more modern stuff now in most recent ones, because my upgrade path is finished. I can no longer kind of go from iMac or MacBook Pro 2012, late 2012 one, to a 2013 one. It wouldn't make any sense. The upgrade path's finished, so I just came to the newest version of it and go again from there. So I'd be the same with cars. I think a lot of the time I review a lot of brand new cars and they're really good and it's fabulous, but I think your upgrade path to that new car should be when your old car has just had it. There's just no life left in it now. It's gone. There's no more I can do with it. It's going to cost too much to keep it on the road. Prohibitively expensive to keep it there. Fine, do what you want after that. But people who change their cars because of PCP or whatever, they change the car every 3-4 years. What are you changing it for? Like, you're just damaging everything. Sorry. Adam Quinn, hi Bob. Would you recommend the ID3 as the best small EV looking to change? ID3 is really good. Yeah, if you like to look at them, I think ID3 is actually one of the nicer ones. It's big. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a small EV. ID3 is a big car. Now, i3, just in case you're talking about i3 is a small car. That is a 4-door car, a 4-seat car at best. Doors open backwards on the back, and that's very annoying. Very annoying, very quickly, particularly if you have kids. It's near impossible to use if you have kids. But ID3 is a big, practical 5-door hatchback. ID4 is bigger again. Essentially the same setup underneath, same battery stuff, same chassis and all underneath. But the car is much bigger. I like them. I always have since they came out. They're a great alternative to Tesla. But if you want good software and you want the kind of longest range for the least amount of effort, I think Tesla has it nailed. Although there is a lot of Teslas on the road now. So if you wanted to feel that special Tesla vibe feel, it's kind of gone now, because they're just everywhere. Model 3s are all over the place. You see the Model Y, or not Model Y, Model X every once in a while as well. Model S is just everywhere. They're a bit expensive as well. Snazbot says, I think Ireland changing to the other side of the road is post-United Ireland project. Could be. I love the way it says post, like that's a definite post. Do you know how long that's been simmering on? United Ireland thing is something, I think, a political dream. But I'm not sure that everybody's on the same page with that idea of the United Ireland. I'm not opposed nor for it. I just want to see, is there an economic purpose that we can use to have it? Would it be good for everybody? Because currently the way we behave is as if we're united anyway, apart from the monetary aspect. And of course the speed limits and things, they're all a bit different. But like a post-United Ireland idea would be great if it was one island. Then you make rules for everybody. I just can't see it being quite as clear cut as people think it is. But it'd be good to see. It'd be good to investigate it sometime. Why not get the other countries to drive on the proper side of the road? The UK driving the left from the Romans, so Europe need to revert back to our problem solved. Well, France was driving, had a side of the road picked before England picked their side of the road. France just didn't like England, so they picked different sides of the road. I don't actually know. I just know that France had roundabouts and stuff, and they had a side of the road from horse and carts. They had a particular side of the road. They were the ones who invented the whole idea of side of the road. I'm not quite sure why the UK went the other way around, the other side of the road. I know the UK are very slow to import to start speed limits and things. I don't think it got official speed limits to the 60s, I think. Edward out of here. Bob, just spoke about German. Do you think you got me wrong? Irish insurance companies here want me to pay nearly €2,000 to put her on my car in Ireland as me driving her. Oh, right, okay. So it's insurance companies giving you the problem. So €2,000. Yeah, well, that's... Welcome to insurance companies. We are having this battle on a regular day here. Insurance companies here seem to just throw out a number. Just fire out. Just here's €2,000. Pay €2,000. And you go, no. And they go, okay. Pay €1,900. Okay, that feels good. That's what happens, I think. It is an awful situation, isn't it? It really is. It's just terrible. Our insurance here, just particularly car insurance, just seems to be nailed all the time. It's crazy. Every time we open their mouth, it costs more money. Bobby, curse the weather, just getting thunder and lightning, unless it's rain to follow. Oh, well, we're not getting any rain here at all, according to my weather app. It says no rain. End of story. We have one more little look. I use 3 apps to keep up to date. I use the built-in Apple weather app. I use the Weather Channel app, which doesn't say anything there about weather. Just look at England there. Oh, yeah, look at you, London. Yeah, you're getting screwed on there, right? I don't know if you can see that. Let me look at it. Can you actually see the map there? There you are now. See, there's your little thunderstorm happening over the top of you there. It dissipates off though in the afternoon. Look, it disappears. It'll be fine. It's just hitting you right now. But it's not hitting us. We have nothing. Over here, it's clear sky. That's live, by the way. That just shows rainfall. You can pay a premium, I think, on that radar maps thing and get other stuff put on. I'd never have. I just use the radar on it. It's brilliant. That is the Weather Channel app. I use the Siri app, and I use another thing called Windy, which is actually pretty good as well. That actually tells me about the wind here in Ireland. Well, the wind everywhere. As you can see there, it's actually showing the wind currents. To zoom in a little bit. And you see where the wind is coming from the north now at the moment. So I use that as well. It's called Windy. There's a website called windy.com as well, but I just use the app on the phone. It helps me when I go out filming with cars or outdoors. People always say in my YouTube videos that it's always sunny. It's because I only go out when it's sunny to film things. Irish G says Healy Ray the plank. That was who it was. That's who it was. One of the Healy Rays got up in the middle of their talk and said that you couldn't drive an electric car through a puddle. Because of the electric current would burn the whole thing out, and you're kind of going, did he really say that? Like, you're telling me a car company can sell you a car that can't be driven when it's raining? You lunatic. Didn't make any sense. Politicians talk that all the time, make mistakes, and we pay for all the crap. Well, politicians are retweeting services. That's what politicians are. They listen to people talking around them, then they go into the doll and they say what they think is right. And then they change their mind, and away they go again. But they keep doing it all the time. I don't know why politicians used to work on behalf of the people. Now politicians seem to work on behalf of businesses and stuff, and it doesn't seem to make any sense anymore. They don't seem to want to move it on a bit and start doing something for the general public. And right now we are paying a huge amount of money in taxes on all cars, electric cars as well. The taxes are insane and they're costing a fortune. And that's why we're talking about Jap Imports again. That's because we're trying to save money again. Now we're looking as far away as Japan to try and save money in our cars, because Brexit has added 10% of the price of the cars coming in anyway. Wait, now where was I now? Luke
PwC says, "Hi Bob, I know you've been touched on this before, but there's been any speculation addressing Ireland's astronomical VRT? No, nobody wants to touch it. There's threefold, I suppose, why VRT is not to be touched. One is it's a huge tax that makes an awful lot of money for the government. That's probably one of the biggest problems, right? Because the government aren't renowned for removing a tax and then not replacing it with anything. They're not good at that. They tend to move the tax from one thing to the other, just call it something else. Do you remember we, back in 2006 or something, had to pay an emergency tax? No, it was 2008, I think it was. We had to pay an emergency tax, right? We're still paying it. Still now, it's still there, right? It's just there all the time, paid in tax the whole time. That's what they do. They just change and keep on going. The second reason they can't do it is because all the cars that are currently in the car park of Ireland have VRT already paid on them. So if you abolish VRT, you abolish the price of those cars, which all of the dealerships then instantly overnight go out of business because they have VRT accounts. Two, some dealers would put the VRT bill into a different bank account, and sometimes they spend that money in the bank account on buying stock and just replace it in the VRT, and then they pay the tax once a year or so. And there's a kind of a system that goes, a self-employed system that goes with that VRT as well. So there's threefold parts of that. It's a complicated issue, but we could certainly, another one we need to address, because right now VRT is making cars unaffordable in Ireland. There's cars we'll never ever see in this country because they're too high priced because of VRT. Oh, thank you for joining me today. Make sure you click the like button and the share button. You can support the channel as well through super chats or PayPal or Patreon. Any way you can is always useful. It's great to have you aboard. It'd be lovely if you kept on going for the rest of the year. We'll try and keep on going with everything we can. Don't forget, this Saturday night, 7 p.m, Junction 14 Mayfield. Bring any car you want, park wherever you like, just don't park in a special car park. And we'll have a cars there you'll never see anywhere else in the country. It'll be probably one of the biggest meets in the country. Come along to it if you can, please. It'd be great to see you there. Just make sure you tell me who you are and you're from the YouTube channel, right? It'd be really good to know. Where was I? Owen McCarthy. Afternoon, Bob. Great show as always. Thank you. Question: is there any particular company in sight for Japan checking out sales and imports? If any other listener info would be nice and appreciated. Cars could change. Oh yeah. So I don't have one particular person to recommend. There is a number of those Japanese imports, but they're working on their own. So they're doing little Facebook pages and stuff for what they're bringing in. It's not like a dealership level stuff. They're just getting cars people want from Japan. They're just acting as sort of a broker. I haven't seen anyone do it. There is dealerships doing it, obviously, but I haven't seen anyone in particular that's doing it that seems to be doing the right job of it. So I'd be hesitant to recommend anybody in case it gets out of hand and they can't deal with it. But there's plenty out there. Plenty of lads tagging you every day in Instagram posts of what cars they're talking about and how they're getting there, and pictures of stuff from auction sites and things. Cars could change to driving on the right hand side of the road. If that's successful, commercial vehicles could follow a later date. Yeah, well, usually commercial vehicles that are overseas are used to driving on either side of the road, but either way around steering wheels, because a lot of them are international drivers. Second-hand chamois. I know. Yeah, I know. I buy everything second-hand, but I don't necessarily buy my bibs for cycling second-hand. No. Although I wouldn't be opposed to that if I got a good deal. Those bib things aren't exactly cheap. You know, the 70, 80 quid for a good cycling bib these days. But the chamois is everything. The chamois is everything. If you don't have the chamois, you're not going to be comfortable when you're cycling. That's what puts most people off cycling. They get up on a bike and they cycle along, then their arse is killing them after no time. Or the bit between your knees and the both is killing them after no time at all on the road. Put chamois on and you won't notice it. Disappears. It's illegal. It's illegal to wear underwear and wear a chamois bib at the same time. Just so you know, if you ever come along to a cycle race and you're wearing underwear, everyone will point and stare and laugh at you. I'm warning you. It happens a lot. Actually, it just gets in the way of what the chamois is supposed to do, which is wick away sweat. It just gets in the way. It's just pointless. It'll just fill up with water. With sweat, like. Eric, seen ID3 just recently parked beside Golf Mark 7. ID3 is bigger. 'Tis bigger. Definitely bigger on the inside as well. It feels bigger when it sits on the road. It feels like a large car, but it's lovely out to drive. That was one of my latest videos there, driving down to Waterford and back. Did I drive to Wexford or Waterford? Wexford and back. For the day, getting the bag of chips.
I intend to do that again. I have actually got 5 cars next week to test. That crazy? And I'm going to take a week off in August from doing any tests or reviews or anything else. But next week I have a Kuga PHEV. Quite looking forward to spinning that. I have the ID4, the Audi Q4. I'm doing a twin test with those 2 cars. And I have a Dacia Duster. And then later on in the week I have got Toyota Supra for the weekend, which would be a bit of a laugh. So there's lots of cars to get through next week. Gareth Talbot, thank you very much. Switching back to PayPal support you, thank you very much from Google. Thank you. Yes, that's really good. Google does on Super Chats here, and when you do the monthly kind of fee thing that goes on at Google, they take about 70% of that. Just so you know, it's a lot. You lose a lot. You can go to Patreon. You can do straight through PayPal. You lose nothing in PayPal. PayPal have been really good over the years. Whichever you want to do, I don't mind. March Lee says Hyundai Ireland have given a price for new hot hatch, the i20N of €35,000. There'll be nothing in it for €35,000. They'll get rid of everything out of it. Hang on, wait, look at this i20N. Let's have a gander at what it looks like. Yeah, same as the other ones. It looks okay. Wait now a second. Window. Make sure I'm right. Then we go cut. We still on? We're still on. We're not still on. That's road mic. That on? I don't know if that's on or not. That seems to be good. Anyway, that is the i20N. It's not a bad looking car. I'm not sure about the back of it though. Do you like that back? I'm not sure about that back. I think that back looks a bit weird, if I'm honest. The front looks good, but I think the back looks a bit strange. Anyway, €35,000 sounds reasonable for a car like that. Is there any stories in Ireland? No. What car? Car Row, Car Magazine, Hyundai Europe, Top Gear. No, they're all the UK ones. Anyway, scene cut. We're back to normal again. How does that keep doing that? That keeps throwing in 2 mics every time I do. I have to sort it out. Too many audio sources. That's the problem there. Anyway, Hyundai Ireland, yeah, €35,000 isn't too bad for a hot hatch, in fairness. And the i40N was a good car. i30N was a good car, whichever one it was. Adam Quinn, have you seen the new Hyundai Ioniq 5? Looks very nice. I saw on your car on a car lorry. Yes, yeah, there's a few of them around. It does look well. I don't know. It's hard to say where they're going to go with that design. I think it's a little bit polarizing. I think it looks good and in some ways, and then other ones is kind of like not sure about that, whether it's good or not. Hyundai tend to do pretty. They're odd looking. If you look at some of the new range of Hyundais, there's some odd lines and cuts and things, and yet it's a hugely popular car. Like all of them are like that. They've just got some very strange sort of marks and lines and things on it, but it does look good in most of the ways. Graham Cullen, all tech. I had an original Galaxy Note for 6 years. Software started getting flaky. I went for a new phone. The shop assistant says, you know, your contract was only for 1 year. Yes, I knew. I know. Everybody just wants, I want the latest phone, I want the latest this, I want the latest that. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? If it's still working, like you could go out and buy these 2 phones. That's an iPhone 6. It's probably, I don't know how many years old that is. It's an older phone. I bought that brand new from Apple, that one, and it still works, still fine. There is a cover on the screen. That's all we got. We got the screen in place because my daughter took the phone from me and she brought the screen, and that is an iPhone 12. There's the, hang on, I need to bring up the screen so I can see what you see. Okay, so there is the difference between the 2 of them. That is an iPhone 12 Pro Max, that is an iPhone 6. Both of them run all the same software. TikTok is on this, Twitter's on this, Instagram is on this, Facebook is on this. It all works. It's all fine. Everything works on it. No difference whatsoever. That's all on this phone as well. Just this does it a little bit faster. This has a better camera. That is not a good camera, and has a better battery life. Not by much, I'll be honest. It's not a huge amount. The battery's kind of wearing out in this one, but it's getting there. It's okay. But everything still works. Just works a little bit slower than the iPhone 12. But the difference between the 2 of them is that's probably worth about 100 quid. The other one's worth about 1,200 quid. There's a big difference in price. So it's just horses. Whatever you want to do from something is what you really want to do, you know. and how much time and effort you're willing to invest in that thing and how much you want to get out of it. I use this for work, like even my stickers on the back of this is a work phone. I use it for all the social media, I use it for everything, and I want good pictures and I want good stuff. I even use it now. Do you know your phone has a magnifying glass on it? Your iPhone has. You can magnify things like a magnifying glass, like an ordinary zooming up. So you know when you see ingredients on a packet or whatever, you can't read it. You can zoom it up on the phone. It's really good. If you're now lad like me, you need to know these features are very important. Catalan Rossi says, I have a 162 Nissan Leaf, 30 kilowatt. God love you. Must drive you mad, isn't it? I'm sorry. 46,000 kilometers on the clock. How'd you put that on? Like, it's so hard to get those. 30 kilowatt is such a restrictive little figure. I'm not slagging off your car, man. It was just, I found 30 kilowatt as soon as the thing sees the motorway. It's like, no, I ain't going any further. But anyway, it's upgrade to MG ZS EV worth it. Yes, I saw the MG ZS EV comparison you did and got me thinking the range increase is worth the price difference. Yes and no. If you're buying into electric car and you're buying into the cheapest brand of car, you're going to feel like you're driving a cheaper brand car. The MG ZS was actually a pretty good car. As a commuter thing, as driving up and down the town, you know, bringing the kids to school, it was okay, but the suspension was quite soft in it. The seats weren't very supportive in it, and the touchscreen needed software updates, and there's all kinds of problems. In that MG has only just got to this country as well. It's brought in by the Mitsubishi Group, Joe Duffy or someone has it. A nice little car, lovely thing. I think Renault Zoe is a nicer car to drive actually. And then you're kind of pushed out into ID3 and those ones that are up the top end of the mark. Big difference in price. But MG ZS is value for money, but it is yellow pack. It is value for money car. It works pretty well. It all seems to work okay. I seen a TikTok the other day that I was tagged in. Some mechanic was looking at MG ZS and it was nothing but rust underneath. So it might be worth your while looking underneath the car, see how rusty it is before you consider buying it. Just remember that one. But I thought they were okay. That was a pretty good car. My Levin isn't ready. What do you mean isn't ready? What are we doing? Oh, for Saturday. Oh no, you have to do Levin has to be there. Sorry, just taking that microphone thing again for some reason why it doesn't come over there. When I do that, window capture is right, the Rode mic is right, mic aux is right, everything's right. Just doesn't like me today. Something wrong with it, ain't it? Snazbot, if the Minister of Transport asked you to implement one policy, what would it be? Implement one policy. You could take huge things like abolish VRT, or you could take another huge thing like change the side of the road. But actually, I think like abolishing toll bridges would be much more beneficial for everybody in their pockets. You know, I think taking a bill away from people is a much more beneficial thing for people to do than. Thanks, John Connor, sent money there by PayPal. You're very kind. I think taking bills away from people is a much more beneficial thing to do for the environment. And like putting together an inflation package for EVs is another point. Like EVs are causing inflation in the market. If you don't know what inflation is, okay, so to put that in context, if you're buying something today for €1 and tomorrow it's €1.10, that's inflation. That's driven the price of the product up because down the chain, the supply chain has become more expensive, so it's driving inflation in your country. Now, because it's €1.10, I go to my boss and I go, I want 10 cents more on my wages because that's gone up in price. So I want more wages. That's also inflation. Now, if you're buying a petrol-powered car for 10 grand and the only electric car you can buy is 15 grand, then that's inflation. You're going to have to pay more for the same car, right? The man from JCP used a good example. He says, average price of a Vauxhall Astra 5-door hatchback is, what did he say it was? £14,000 or something. The electric version of it, £35,000. So there's inflationary pricing that's going to happen there. So that's going to happen. I think that's something we need to address very quickly because it's already starting to happen in the market. It's already the price of stuff is starting to rise. So if you start inflation in the market, people look for more money and then we're all out of business. Like nobody can afford to pay more money. Wages wise, lots of stuff isn't going to open tomorrow. Lots of pubs and clubs and restaurants and stuff won't open because they can't open because the rules aren't clear enough, and so there's loads of people that aren't going to go back to work. But yet the the pandemic unemployment payment is gradually finishing now. I believe that's coming to an end. I'm not sure when it goes away, but it's going away. So if people aren't going, what does it do? End up in a dole office. So I don't know what the policy would be that I would go after, but I'd certainly think about taking away prices, taking away bills from people. There has to be a way of doing that. There has to be a way of taking down the bill somewhere. Owen McCarthy, thanks, no problem at all. Graham Cullen, good list of cars. I'll look forward to the most Duster review. Duster, yeah. I actually like Duster. I like what Dacia's doing. You know, Dacia Sandero, the Cross one. That's deadly looking. It's lovely. Runs on LPG as well. I have an LPG station here in Laois. Run out the road. Always surprised by that. That is still there, like. Where was I? What year, what type of car do you recommend for cheap insurance for an 18-year-old driver? So you won't get... So it's not a particular car that does it. So German cars attract the highest insurance. If you buy a Golf, a Polo, a Passat, any of those cars, they attract quite a premium, because that's what all the young lads are driving. That's inevitably what's involved in more collisions then, right? Japanese cars attract the least, so Toyotas and Nissans, they attract a little bit less, unless you go, obviously, the performance end of those cars. If you can keep the engine under 1.4 or 1.4 or less, you're going to attract a slightly cheaper insurance. If you can keep your address outside of a place where cars are commonly damaged or commonly stolen, then that will also help your insurance. You can do the name driver thing as well, but for cheap insurance on an old car, keep it under 8-9 years old and you get the cheaper insurance. Under 1.4 cheap insurance. That's where you kind of go. JV says, I think it's trying to grab audio from your webcam or something when you share your screen. Yeah, I think so too. I can't quite work out which one's which. There's only one audio I actually want, and not desktop audio. I would take a mic aux. I don't know where that audio is coming from. And audio input captures the other one for some reason. Don't know why. I've been so blue. What's the audio like now? Is it worse than it was before? What if I brought that up and brought that down? I think that's the audio that it should be on. That's the better audio, I think. And then there's the window one, which doesn't really want to do anything with that. Oh, now I fucked it up altogether. I'm after messing it up now. I don't know what's there. Oh, I'm okay. I'm back where I was. Road is here. That shouldn't be on. That is looking at a microphone 2, which is there. So that should, when I cut over to it, don't know why. That's weird. It's weird. I'll fix it next time. Be okay. Anyway. JV, Peter Ucard. Hi Bob, are you going to the British Motor Show next month? I doubt it. I don't know. I am going to Britain for something, but I don't think it's next month. I think that's the month after. I think it's September or something. Let me look for a second. We're going over for something. I know I'm going to Poland next month. I know that much. I'm going to Gdansk in Poland. I'm going to Frankfurt next month. I can't find the bloody thing. Hang on. Where did that thing go? That's Gdansk. I'm going to Opel trip in Frankfurt. I don't know. I'm going over to England for something in the near future. Some trade show, though, I thought it was. That's that's on October. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm going over to England for something. I can't remember where it is now. Paddy Ryan, I want you to sign the spoiler on my Mini on Saturday. It won't be hard to spot me anyway as a purple wrapped. Oh, yeah, no problem, Paddy. Yeah, I have signed a few spoilers in the past, which is kind of weird. Yeah, I have to report that one. No. Okay, we'll move on from there. Burnsy says, recently bought a 2006 MX-5 2-litre, like a go-kart for the road, like small light cars, awesome for the weekend. 100%. I love MX-5s, all of them. There was one I seen the other day, a guy replaced, it's a pop-up, it's a version 1, and he changed the 2 headlights to be LEDs, and it's super cool. Really modernized the look of the car, but it also modernized just driving in the evening. You know, you can actually put the lights on and see something, because those old MX-5 lights are like 2 candles. MX-5 is something that people, if you're going to collect one, I would get one soon, because they're starting to run out at this stage. Eric Roger, audio much better now. Yeah, I was thinking there was something wrong with the audio. See, I can't hear myself here through the audio. I should put a monitor speaker thing on. But that is the audio input capture that should be running right now. I don't know why when I change the window, it changes to Rode mic, as if a Rode mic even exists. I don't think it does. Anyway, Michael Norton, Audi A5 thinking of buying one. What do you think? What year, Michael Norton? There's the problem. Audi A5 has been around a while. They're great cars. There isn't a particular year that's bad for them. Diesel, petrol, which one are you after? Like, the petrol ones are going to be more reliable than diesel these days. Kevin N, EV Kona, $44,000, and the ICE Kona is $20,000 in Canada. Bloody hell. You could buy 2 ICE Konas and have $4,000 change. There's 2 cars. OEMs know they can change these prices because the government is subsidizing them. Tesla prices their car high knowing this. No incentive to reduce the prices. That's the problem. We do the same here. We incentivize people here to buy cars by giving grants on the car, but actually the cars are way overpriced. So giving a grant has made no difference whatsoever. Like giving a $5,000 grant on a car that's already $25,000 more expensive than its petrol version doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. We need to address the pricing of electric cars. They're far too expensive. Digiastic says, hi Bob, what's your opinion on a BMW i3, i3S, and just small niptic Dacia is pronounced Dacia? That's true, Dacia. Yes, I know, from over there. Depends on what part of the world you're in, but we said Dacia since it came in here. It's only since we had an ad on television, it was called Dacia. But I've been over Romania in the Dacia area, so I've heard them said over there too. But i3 and i3S is brilliant. i3S is super fast. A little bit short range because it's so fast. But i3 is lovely. If you are not family based, those i3s work very well. If you have kids that are in prams, or you want to put them into big child seats in a rear seat, it's just, it's a ball ache. That opening the front door to open the back door to put the kids in, it's just a ball ache as a family car. But as maybe a single person or a couple, or maybe grown up kids, it's a lot easier. But you still have to open the front door to open the back door. So if you pull up with your mates in the back of the car and they're trying to get out and you're not getting out, you still have to open your driver's door to let them out, right? So there's still that kind of pain in the hole that keeps on going. But i3S is a super fast i3. It is like driving a go-kart or like driving a shoe or a skateboard or something. Just really, really good little car to drive. BMW had such a head start on everybody else in the market, and they let it run. I don't know why. They just let it sort of fall away. They had such great cars. Graham Cullen says, I had an MX-5 Mark II 1.8 litre for 9.5 years. So much fun. Suspension not too hard, even on cobble roads around Edinburgh. Great cars, really good. Mazda consistently made a really good MX-5. They make such good MX-5s that when you go along to a press launch of Mazdas and they're launching anything, they talk about the MX-5. Like the whatever model it is, the CX-5. MX-5 was brilliant. Here's a CX-5. You're going, wait now, that's a 2-seat, 2-door convertible. That's a 5-door SUV. What's the comparison? What they tell you about how light they've made it. Jinbai Tai and Sky Active and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the MX-5 has been brilliant over all the years. Mark II would be my favourite one. I'd love to collect one. I don't have anywhere to put one to keep it safe. That's my problem. I don't have a dry store and for something that you wouldn't drive every day, Anyway, Michael Norton, diesel 08 or maybe a budget might let me to a 2012 A5 Audi. Yeah, so if you're looking for diesel ones, just make sure that everything's done to it, that it's got a service history, that it's really been looked after, because diesels, when they get older, if they haven't been looked after, will start to smoke and you will fail NCTs. You'll start to fail everything around you. Always consider who has bought and owned a car before you buy a car. What kind of buyer bought your car originally? Because you think about how you treat a car, because you're the prospective buyer for your car, so you would have bought the car new as well. So just be aware that none of these cars can last forever, but like A5s tend to be bought by the 2-door one. I think you're talking about. The A5s tend to be bought by single individuals who want to have something that's a bit sporty and they're going to drive it hard. So that driving it hard means it's going to have a shorter lifespan than you think. Just look at that service history. Understand that it can be changed, it can be different from over time. Be really careful what you invest in. You don't want to buy a car for, 10 grand, 15 grand and have to put 5 grand in it to make it right. That's the worst thing that can happen. end up in all kinds of trouble. But the A5 Sportback, lovely car. All the A5s have always been nice. The one with the 4 doors on it has a little bit of a tight roof on it. That's the only thing. If you have adults in the back, it'd be a bit tight back there. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. 100% tax on new cars in Singapore, but underground system that is good. You don't really need one. That's the difference. We keep talking about these cars over here as if they're some kind of luxury. Like, think about that. As if you can survive in this country without a car. How many people in this country can actually get around everywhere they need and don't own a car, that don't live in Dublin city centre? I'm telling you. Even my Catherine's brother's husband and wife, the brother and their kids, they only got a car. I think they only started getting the cars maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. They just did their thing on buses back down in Galway. But then as soon as kids came along, it had to be a car. Because it's impossible to get kids onto a bus and prams and hanging and things and stuff slung over your shoulders. It's a pain in the hole. Cars are necessary in this country, but we tax them as if they're a luxury. Graham Cullen changed to a Honda Jazz. Big difference. Mazda 2 GT Sport now. Mazda 2 is a lovely little car. It's a lovely little car. Yeah, Jazz would be a little bit different from MX-5. I'd love to have a 2-seat convertible car as a sort of a weekend spinny about things, because the kids aren't that interested in coming along to car shows and stuff. So I'd love to have something I could bring along, like an MX-5 or something. But just I don't really have anywhere to store these things. I don't even have time to look after it either. I'm always doing something that doesn't involve a car. It just involves filming something or doing something like that. We'll be making more films in the next while, by the way. We'll be going around to people's houses and cars, and I'm arranging to go and drive some V8s, some old American cars that are in this country. We're going to start discovering their cars as well. Kevin N, BMW ID3, very cool idea, but it's been obsolete basically by battery advancement in 5 years, so lease your EV kids. Yeah, no. Battery advancement is moving along quite quickly. Cars were 5 years ago now are more or less redundant for range, for keeping their charge. Current model batteries seem to be so much better. So people just aren't buying like 2016, 2015, 2014, anything about that back then. Nobody wants it. Don't, unless you want it. I wouldn't bother buying it. But yeah, there's loads of stuff coming up on the channel as well. I will be doing user review cars, but exotic things, weird things, stuff that I found at car shows and events and stuff, where somebody just rocks up and goes, "Here's a car I have. What do you think of this, yoke?" And you go, "Wow, that's deadly. Could I have a spin in it?" And they go, "Yeah." It happens 9 times out of 10. So I'm going to look. There's an American car collector in Ireland that has a big selection of cars, and I'm going to go and spin up and have a look at his stuff and film it all. A barn find, a very, very interesting barn find that a film is on the way as well. I'll put out more videos over the next while. I know the videos are just like one a week at the moment, and that's it. It's summertime. Cars start falling off a cliff. We're catching up on last year's cars. So a lot of the cars have been out for nearly 12 months or have been out for most of the year already. You've seen the reviews. Nearly Point has done a review on it. And I want to bring in more. I'm doing more filming. So I'm actually going out to people's places and filming their stuff. So we'll get back into it come the autumn. Things will start to pick up again and we'll do more videos every day. Adam Quinn, hi Bob, what do you think of the new Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid, or would you recommend going full electric ID4? I would say right now, this very minute, with the selection of cars on the road, if I was forced to buy a car, I would buy a new electric car. I would skip the PHEV thing altogether, because the newer models like ID4 can do the range. PHEVs are only good if you're willing to plug the thing in every day. I have one outside the door. It ran out of electricity 3 days ago and I just haven't bothered charging it up, and it's eating petrol on me. So I charged it up last night, and again today I got like 40 kilometers of it and we're back eating petrol again. So I would go straight to the ID4 or ID3 or something with a bit of range in it, buy something new and just get used to charging twice a week, which is what you have to do with electric cars, depending on your mileage, of course. Some people only charge once every 2 weeks. But I would skip the PHEV thing altogether. I think mild hybrid is a dead end. I had a Ford Focus mild hybrid recently. It was a great car. I really liked the Ford Focus, but the mild hybrid did nothing in usefulness in the car. It works to stop start. That's the best it's going to do. Stop start was already there, but it does something in stop start as well. PHEV is just a step up from that. It gives you an extra 40 kilometers. Some people can make it work. If you want a performance tuning car, then maybe a PHEV would be interesting like that, like the 3 Series E3, the 330E. They're pretty good to be tuned. But other than that, I would be bothered with PHEV. I just go straight to electric.
Richard Dury. Hi Bob, would you say the Suzuki Swift is undervalued and perhaps the best to drive in class? It's a great car to drive. Suzuki Swift is really good. Suzuki has always been undervalued in this country, in multiple countries, to be honest with you, because their marketing doesn't really add up. They're very conservative Japanese company, and they make very conservative Japanese ads, very traditional Japanese ads. So the new Suzuki Vitara with the child on the ad, it doesn't make, listening to it, you're going, this doesn't make any sense for a car ad anymore. Like this feels like a cheap car ad. And so they've always been slightly undervalued. Suzuki Swift does drive very well, and the sport one is actually really good fun. I've driven it on track in Mondello. The biggest problem I seen was it has too small of a fuel tank. That's it. Just the fuel tank is so small. You feel like you're gobbling petrol all the time, because I think it's only 35 litres or something. It's quite a small fuel tank, and that makes it a little bit more annoying to drive, because you just don't want to be going to petrol stations all the time. Just put a big fuel tank in. It's fine. We have made it, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 2 p.m. Thank you very much for your attention today. Coming up, over the next few weeks, I will be continuing to do this Sunday service every single week as normal. We're back into the stream of that. Last week was just a hiccup on the technical front. I'll fix the audio stuff over the next week. I hope to bring some guests onto the Sunday service. Well, we've done that before. We're going to have Zoom calls and maybe pre-recorded stuff as well as a sort of a part of the show. So we'll change the format a little bit as well. I'm also going to be changing the branding on the YouTube channel to be the Next Gear Show, which is coming up too. So that will happen over the next couple of weeks. There's loads going on at the moment. Loads of filming going on as well. When we come back in the autumn, there'll be far more content coming out. And some of it will change from just the standard kind of car review onto something a little bit more interesting, I suppose. Or a little bit more expand. Because what I don't want to do is get bogged down and just consistently reviewing new cars. And there's nothing much else coming on, because there's so many car reviews now that are all on YouTube stuff. It just gets deleted down, or not deleted down, but it gets diluted among all the rest of stuff. So I think we need to kind of change it up a little bit, but we'll keep it the car reviews as well. It certainly will go and continue on, but we're going to bring in more interesting background stuff as well. Adam Quinn says, do I still need a cameraman? Yes, I do. Cameramen and camera people are very hard to get at the moment, as all the professional ones are fully employed because of the shortage of TV content over the last year and a half or so. So I'm still looking for a camera person, but I'm looking for someone who can do cameras and editing being the big point. Cameras are still important, but editing is far more important, I promise you. As Eric says, mild hybrid is purely compliance for the manufacturers, and the tick box exercise for marketing does not in the real world. I like the Focus, it just didn't feel like it was doing anything for me. Really didn't feel like mild hybrid was helping with the drive or nothing, just nothing. But it was a nice car. I love the gearbox now. It was a nice old yoke, just not interested in the mild hybrid part. Coming to the autumn, we're going to have all the second-hand stuff. We're going to be reviewing some of the IS200s. We're going to be reviewing Altezas. I have a Datsun 240Z lined up. I have a Datsun 350Z lined up. Nissan, sorry, not Datsun. I have some American cars out. There's tons of stuff coming up in the autumn, so stay tuned, stay subscribed, follow the channel. It's going to come back up to full strength again very soon. Just need a little week off in August. That's what I'm going to do, is have a week off in August. I hope you all see my Instagram post when I did my thing about it's cheaper to go to Portugal in August for a week than it is to go to Waterford in Ireland for a week. By a long way. It's on Instagram. It caused a huge debate. But we'll see. It's on TikTok as well. We'll see what happens there. You can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook here and there. I don't do Facebook so much, but I am there on Facebook if you want to do it. Republican Motors is my pet project with Jason McConnon, which that also has a Facebook page called Republican Motors Facebook page. You can go to that too if you want to find out about car meets or whatever. If you want to come down to something, come to Junction 14 Mayfield Saturday night 7 p.m. Be there, expect the queue to get in, listen to the marshals. We've brought in marshals for this. This is all going to charity. We've raised €3,000 for Barristown, which is already in the kitty before we even start. So it's going to be a huge night. Please come along to that if you want to have a bit of a laugh, or you want to meet me at it, or Jason at it, or any of the guys that are hanging about. To be some famous faces there as well. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take it easy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and look after yourselves. Take care until the next time. I will see you on the far side.